Okay. It's the Ignorance is No Excuse podcast, live from Bayonne, New Jersey. Our first guest is online already, Andrea. Good evening. We're going to be with you in a second. We're just getting started here in Bayonne. Good old Bayonne. Smoke him if you got him, boys and girls.
Back on the scene, it's time to get mean. I'm a lean revolution machine. For what people stay, they sway. For today is good as any day. Y'all feel slightly dis, let's resist. Raise your fist and pump like this. Promises all the time. Don't cross the line, and you know it's mine. Who you wanna roll with? Who you wanna roll with? Lefty, let's go. Who you wanna roll with? Who you wanna roll with? Lefty, let's go.
All right. There we go. Hard stop. Hi, Andrea. How are you? Oh, God. Great. Whoa, wrong pipe. That went down the wrong pipe. Whoa, man, that was a good one. I'm smoking on 8-ball. I rolled a big fat joint of 8-ball. Whoa. Okay, Andrea, can you hear me? Join in and jump in whenever you can. I think you're muted. I believe you're muted.
Can you at least hear me now?
Yeah. Hey, how are you?
How are you?
Good. I can't see you, but it's okay. As long as I can hear you, it's good.
One step at a time.
Yeah, I'll take the audio. It's fine.
Alrighty.
What's going on?
Well, my health has been not so great for anyone listening. I'm a medical patient.
Yes.
But outside of that, there's actually been some movement in New Jersey politics in terms of home grow.
Okay.
Right now, Scutari has said he's open to actually thinking about home grow, but has a laundry list of reasons why that's not going to happen. If you can give me 1 second, I want to just make sure I get the video going, and I want to pull up the right bills for you.
Do you have the list of his reasons? Because he keeps saying that the industry needs to get on its feet first, and
that was one of the big ones that he keeps talking about, and that's kind of one of the final breaking points for me, is because you should never prioritize potential profits from a recreational industry over the lives of patients.
Yeah, they
I
asked.
think I just figured out this video thing.
Okay. They recently asked Phil Murphy about that too on a talk show. Hey, there you are. How are you? Good to see you.
Good to see you.
They just asked Phil Murphy about that, and they said, "How come you're punishing patients for growing their own medicine?" And he kind of changed the subject. He kind of tilted towards recreational when he answered the question about, I think if I'm a betting man, I think it would land on that. Like, what does that mean?
It means that New Jersey has been actively denying patients the right to grow since the medical program started. It means that they will avoid that question, and they will move meetings around, and they will do anything possible to not talk about it, because New Jersey is the only state that has a medical program that does not allow patients to grow. And growing is a necessity for a lot of patients because, one, the medications are not affordable. 2, you need constant access. 3, the thing people don't understand is strain specifics matter. For a patient like me, I have epilepsy and brain damage. And with that comes a lot of different complications. When I was on pharmaceuticals, they had me on a combination of 9 different pharmaceuticals at one point.
Whoa.
Yeah, and some of them weren't fully on the market yet or anything. Like, some of them, I was getting sent out of doctor's appointments with ShopRite bags full of sample packs of medicines combined into that cocktail that they have no clue what's doing, but they're worried what a plant is going to do to me at this point. Cannabis is helping me outrun a lobotomy, but the only way that's possible is by really, really clean medicine and understanding what's in it. Most of what's in the New Jersey dispensaries will make me sicker. And the complications with epilepsy that no one really likes to talk about is called SUDEP. SUDEP is sudden unexplained death in epilepsy patients. Anytime you have a seizure, it could be the last thing you do. And there is nothing they can do about it medically. For epilepsy patients, it could be up to 60% or more that don't have their seizures fully controlled, even with pharmaceuticals. For a lot of people, pharmaceuticals don't work. Mismanagement of my epilepsy pharmaceuticals is what caused my brain damage. The last prognosis they had for me was, we're going to keep you on the medications that are making you worse. They were honestly destroying my quality of life. They were destroying my mental and physical health. I was throwing up every day for a year straight. My hair was falling out. And no, this wasn't chemo or anything like that. This was pills, and then pills to cover the side effects of pills. Last prognosis they had for me was, we're going to keep you on those kinds of medications until you progress to the point that insurance will cover a lobotomy. Or, people react to that word strong because it's 2023 and that shouldn't be the first line of option. But there's also different kinds of brain surgery where essentially they remove part of the skull and they put in similar to like a pacemaker type of device where it can jump current across the dead areas.
Yes.
What's
that called?
Either way, dramatically intense surgeries that you, one, might not wake up from, and two, you likely won't be the same after you do. For me, the brain damage is in an area that's emotional regulation and memories predominantly. If you lose your emotions, which are your personality, and your memories, what's left that makes you you? So with their prognosis being what it was, I had spent about 2 years weaning down off that list of pharmaceuticals and on to cannabis products. Like I said, I was throwing up for over a year straight. The first time I smoked weed medicinally was just to keep food in my stomach because they were going to hospitalize me for being underweight. And there was nothing I could do about that. I was drinking butter. There comes a point where you run out of options. The first time cannabis stopped a seizure for me was an accident. There are times you can have seizure activity is an easy way to describe it, where it's not full-blown seizures, but your brain's misfiring. The electrical and chemical balance is off. And according to the doctors, there's nothing you can do about that. You just don't drive, you avoid stairs, you try and have supervision because it means you're really high risk for one, but you just got to ride it out and let it go. They told me there's no inhaler type of treatment for epilepsy. But I just smoked because I wanted to have dinner, and it cleared up in a way that I'd never experienced before. The person I was with at the time looked at me and was baffled. They're like, your eyes look so much better. Because one of the symptoms for me is my eyes tremor and twitch. If I'm having a seizure, they'll full blown look like a typewriter set on fast forward. And I had heard about things like Charlotte's Web that were specifically designed for patients over time, but I never thought that just cannabis could stop a seizure. The problem is when you don't know what strains are, you can never find it again. But I knew it existed and I knew it worked. So about 2 years of weaning off other medications as I was able to figure out closer and closer to what strains work, what's okay, what's not, how to actually use this. And the other thing was building my tolerance. Because low doses of the medicine meaning cannabis, weren't enough to effectively control illnesses that were progressed to the point mine were. Low doses would make me comfortable, and at first they would make me very, very, very high. But they weren't controlling my epilepsy at that point. It took, like I said, about 2 years of knowledge of learning as much as I could and figuring out strains to nail down what would work enough and build my tolerance enough to where I could come off the rest of the medications when the doctors no longer really had any good options for me. Because if they were right, I would have been back in the hospital within 6 months or dead. They would have been doing the surgery years ago by now. Since then, I've been able to, there are points where I've been really, really healthy when I have good access to medications and access to the right strains. And there are points where I've gotten worse because of losing access, whether that's not being able to find the right strains, not being able to find them in safe forms, because once I needed to build my tolerance, products like concentrates like rosin, which is solvent-free concentrate, and products like RSO, which is a full-spectrum whole plant extract that's been known medically for decades, but is absolutely unavailable at New Jersey dispensaries at this point due to potency limits. not
So
being able to find the right medicine.
over time, what strains have you found that work for you? Which ones help you?
The one strain that I found that I have actually done most of my research on, because in about 10 years, I've found about 5 grams of it total in terms of concentrate over 5 years of looking and asking everybody in every state, is grapefruit. If anybody anywhere can find straight, clean grapefruit, there's a lot of different crosses, a lot of different cuts, or if anyone can even find any other crosses, because at this point I'm interested in studying how to remediate crosses with other strains to get back to what I need. I've gone so far as to replicate the key terpenes out of it using botanicals and put it into a CBD tincture, essentially. So it has no THC in it. It's just the key terpenes I need, and the CBD. And I can use it as a rescue medicine to stop seizures in under a minute. If I'm having an active seizure, my roommate can put it in my mouth under my tongue and stop the seizure. The problem is not being full plant medicine. It's not working as a preventative. Not having access to enough of the other medicines I need, it's not working as a preventative. So things got worse. And once you have a seizure, like I said, every single seizure is dangerous, and every one can lead to more damage. Everyone can build on that. So grapefruit is the key one that I've been studying and working with. But it's also been one of the hardest strains to find, apparently. And I, at this point, have, like I said, I have the genetics that I can work something out with. And I have people that are willing to grow it for me. And I'm willing to grow it myself, but New Jersey won't allow it. New Jersey is doing everything they can to make it as hard as possible to survive for patients. They're pricing us out of dispensaries. They're not allowing us access to the right medicine. They're not allowing us any say in our medical treatment. They treat strains like they're different flavors when certain strains can trigger my seizures. Patients need whole plant access. We need our full medicine because every single part of it is usable too. And in terms of getting patient costs down, that's a really big deal. Commonly, cancer patients and other seriously medically ill patients can use up to a gram a day of RSO. And you can't get that with dispensary limits. A typical gram of RSO is anywhere from 600 to 800 milligrams of THC. And dispensary limits are 100 milligrams on the recreational side and 400 milligrams on the medical side. If they don't want to change potency limits, let us make our own medicine. Because here's the other thing. I've been around the legacy market a lot because the legacy market cares a lot more than the government does. The legacy market will give up profits and sponsor meds for free or go out of the way or do deliveries or do house visits if you're sick. The government moves the meetings around so we can't even show up. The government tells us that their profits are more important than my chance to survive. Everyone thinks New Jersey is fixed because we have medical, we have rec. But the problem is New Jersey is more broken than people can imagine. They use it as a legal argument that we can't allow home grow because it's going to fuel the black market. The black market has a monopoly on New Jersey weed in terms of actual medicine and certain products because they won't allow them in dispensaries. Right now, all the restrictions and prohibitions are fueling a black market that they can't stop. If they want people to have clean medicine, they have to let us make it. Because here's the other thing. If I can only grow a limited amount of my medicine, whether that's judged by canopy size or by plant count, no one else, I'm not giving it away to anybody else. No one else is getting that. The patients who need it, their life depends on it. And New Jersey won't even allow hospice patients access to their medicine when it's from the dispensaries. Hospice people dying is what these programs are built on. They first let cannabis go to patients who had no hope, no other options, because what's it gonna hurt, right? Let them at least die with dignity and not suffer. And then New Jersey managed to strip all of that back. Jay Koenig's law was passed in 2019. We're on the cusp of 2024. That's a long time. That law, yeah, it did some preventions for discriminatory practices, but the biggest thing it did was provide for institutional caregivers. By the state of New Jersey's law that's passed years and years ago, we're supposed to have institutional caregivers in every facility. So every hospital, every hospice, rehab, there's supposed to be someone on staff who can do everything from acquire the medicine from the dispensary to help you physically smoke it. And the CRC set up the committee, and then the committee, I don't know if it's been disbanded, if it fell apart, if it, went some kind of private where citizens are no longer allowed to see the minutes, because I haven't heard anything about it in years. Last year, we even, me and a few different people from the Coalition for Medical Marijuana got together and tried to look into it and tried to find it, and we can't. Ken Walowski ended up putting in a petition to the CRC, even asking to use some of the funds to do the institutional caregivers program. He put that through January last year. I don't hear anybody talking about this, but people are dying without it. They can't have their medicine at home and they can't have it in the hospice. What do you expect them to do? Within the last week alone, I had 3 people come to me and tell me they either lost patients or friends. The reason New Jersey doesn't hear enough about this is because the people who need it are too sick to go fight for it. The reason New Jersey doesn't hear about this is because they make it unaffordable to survive, or they make you have no other option but to leave. You know how many medical refugees come from New Jersey in 2023 to other parts of our country? That seems a little bizarre and backwards when we've had a medical program for a long time. I don't understand his justifications when one of them is, you won't be able to test home grow. They're the ones who put the restrictions in so we can't test home grow. Other states, they test home grow. In New Jersey, the labs are willing to test home grow. I've talked I have information directly from the labs saying they'd be willing to if the laws changed. We have some of the labs on our side trying to petition the government right now. If I can't know what's in my medicine, there are times it makes me worse. And I really would love for Scutari or anyone else to sit down and have a conversation and understand we're asking to be gardeners, not gangsters. We're asking to be able to say, hey, can our friend or a caregiver or a micro license grow us the medicine that sick people shouldn't have to know how to make? You don't have to know how to make your own insulin, do you? It's just wrong. And I'm not going to wait around for the next generation of sick kids to fight my battles. This has been going on too long. And right now, if they're willing to listen, if anyone's on the fence, we need to yank them off the fence. We need to say, New Jersey isn't ready. New Jersey's been ready. New Jersey's dying waiting. It's not a disgrace that our politicians don't care. It's a death sentence. So we need to start doing some kind of organized movement against it. If they're willing to listen, right now I have a phone number where you can call Scutari and ask him to listen to patients. If you don't want to tell your story, because here's the thing, the black market and the legacy market has stood up for me. They're the ones who've risked their life and their safety to grow and produce and provide the medicine that's gotten me here. I wouldn't be here without the state of New Jersey, and I wouldn't be here without the legacy market. But here's the difference. The state of New Jersey is the ones who pushed the pharmaceuticals that gave me the brain damage. The legacy market's the one and told me I had no hope after that. The legacy market's the one who said you're never too sick to help. And they're the ones with decades of experience. They're the ones who protected this plant through prohibition. And they're the ones being punished and persecuted. They're the ones with experience, and they're the ones not being listened to in the government or in the dispensaries or by any policymakers who actually are regulating a reality that they don't live in. I know I have faith in some of the medicine I've found, and I know some of the medicine in the New Jersey dispensaries can trigger seizures. If anyone can get me FaceTime with the senators, if anyone, I don't care how, can get me FaceTime with the senators, I'm willing to either bring in scientists that I know from Princeton, Sackler, Columbia. Like, I can get people with PhDs and documentation to back me up. If you want the proof that way, I can get doctors that have worked with patients from across the country. I can get medical patients from other states to vouch that they had to leave here, or to vouch that, this is the RSO or the concentrates are what saved their life or changed their life. But more than that, I am willing to actively trigger and actively stop seizures in front of these senators. I'll put my life on the line in front of them to prove that strains matter, that being able to have access to the right medicine matters. I'll take the risk this time, because the legacy market has always taken the risk for me. And home grow for patients is a human right. It's a place the government doesn't belong when they already told us it was okay. We passed the laws. We have rights for medical patients, but you just won't let them have their medicine. It's sick and it's twisted, and people that think it's about profits or think that the patients are the ones that are going to fund the legacy market. People want to grow for their friends who are dying. People are sick in beds. You expect that patient to grow their own medicine or to be able to pick out a caregiver and then go through those hoops? What if that caregiver doesn't know the right thing? What if they need to share strains with another person to mix and match the right genetics? You're preventing all of that from happening. You're preventing anyone with education or experience from having a voice or an opportunity to help. You're preventing patients from helping themselves. The home growth should be recreational and medical. But if you don't think it's medical, if you don't think we should have a right to it medically, I'm going to put it, here's my email address, libraryofcannabis@gmail.com. Say it again, libraryofcannabis@gmail.com. Reach out to me directly. I will answer you directly. We will have a conversation. If you can get me to the senators, get me to the senators. If you're a patient and you're struggling to figure out the strains that work for you, because here's the thing, the strains that work for me aren't necessarily going to work for you. Our endocannabinoid systems are as different as we are. You're finding your strain is finding your thumbprint, but you know what? It helps to know if you're looking on your hand. So we can get there. Like, there's hope and there is help. Or even if you got to get out of the state, there's resources out of the state. But there, in New Jersey dispensaries, I can get put a lozenge in my mouth while I'm having a seizure. I'm going to die. You're going to choke. You can't do that. We need nasal sprays. I know how to make a nasal spray that I'm not allowed to make because I can't have my plants. I have never grown a plant. I've never seen living cannabis plants. This saved my life, and now I'm dedicating my life to it, but I have never seen a living pot plant. New Jersey is broken. This is called the Garden State, and it's the one thing we're not allowed to do. So right now we have a couple of bills that are being proposed, and I'm not saying all of you have to go fight for them. I know everyone has day jobs.
Yes, they do.
For his kids.
Yes, they do. After hearing your testimony today, they better go out and fight, because you got me crying over here.
That's what I'm saying. You don't have to do anything but make a phone call, and
please,
I'll go fight like my life's on like my life's on the line for it. You don't have to say your name. Say, hey, call Skatari. I'll give you the number so you can
Do
post
it.
it for everybody. And I'll give you a little flyer on what SUDEP is, which is the unexplained death, because the only thing any of us can do to prevent that is let me have access to the medicine that prevents the seizures in the first place. We have proof of concept. We've had the strains from other states. Luckily, being in construction, I can work in other states and I've been able to travel because, crazy as it sounds, it's easier to just set up another place for a little bit than it is to survive in this state. I'll go fight. I'm not asking any of you to. I'm asking you to make one phone call and say, my friend Andrea is sick. She has epilepsy and brain damage. The pills can't help her. Nothing, they can't do anything medically to prevent SUDEP. Homegrow can save her life. She needs to talk to you. libraryofcannabis@gmail.com. If anyone needs to by the way, if anyone needs to reach me, I know Instagram's a thing, but being a photosensitive epilepsy patient, I wasn't on social media. So I set one up today. It's a completely blank account. It will look like nothing, but if you don't have email and you want to DM me, you can do that. It's actually going to be Smoke Show Science was the one I grabbed for today. So if you can make a phone call, if you can send a message, if you're like, hey, I got that uncle that's kind of annoying, but he's a mayor in a random town. I don't think that'd help anything. It helps something. Tell him to make that phone call. I know that everything in my life is going to be hit or miss with this, but the reason I'm going to fight for it is my nephew has a genetic condition that makes him a lot more likely to have seizures when he gets older. I can go and I can be patient and talk nicely to the politicians about how important this is, and I can bide my time. But if he starts having seizures and I have to see him go on the same medicines that gave me brain damage, that made me worse, I don't want to see him fighting this. He's okay now, but God forbid that day ever comes, I want cannabis as a first-line option. The Hippocratic Oath says you're supposed to do the least amount of harm as possible. We know plant medicine is safe. We know I could drink the entire tincture bottle that I made, and I'm not going to overdose. I'm going to sleep it off, and I'll be fine tomorrow. A dog or a cat or a child could drink that entire bottle and be okay. But if they got into your bottle of Xanax, which is the closest thing the doctors say to a preventative or rescue, like stopping medicine, no one's waking up. No one's waking up from that. Not the dog, not the cat, not the kid, not you. It's a safer medicine to have around. They're scared of a garden. And if they're worried about the plant count and things getting too out of hand, you being able to grow 16-foot tall plants and have 5-pound yields, then as a medical patient, I desperately propose we change the language to canopy size. Canopy size, which is the square footage of the space you're allowed to grow in, is better for medical patients and better for the legislators. They know exactly how much cannabis you could possibly grow. But as a medical patient, I can do the genetic searches that will never be worth it to the dispensaries. Even if I had home grow, it would take a year from setting up my tents to being able to have a workable strain because I can't find the exact genetics. That's why if anyone has direct grapefruit seeds, or reach out, communicate with me, please.
How about grapefruit haze? Grapefruit haze?
Grapefruit haze is one of the crosses of them. Yeah. But figuring out what that's actually came from is the tricky part, because did it come from just grapefruit and just haze, or did it come from a sweet pink grapefruit cross and then haze? Did it come from a grapefruit chem mixed with a haze? Did it
With the terps that you
tracking
don't
the
want. Something that, yeah, there's a terps that you don't want, that you don't need. And you
yeah,
have
there are
to filter
certain
those
terps that
out.
are dangerous for me, but that's where if I had home grow, I could at least start somewhere because I know what I'm looking for and I know what I'm looking to avoid. And if this strain is this rare in the country, I know it's out there. It's definitely out there. Trust me, I'm not trying to say it's a complete unicorn. It's just not on frequently on legal markets because it doesn't have a high yield. Legal markets are commercial markets. They're expected to generate all this revenue that all these politicians are so excited about. They're not going to pick and carry strains that only a couple patients prefer. They're going to pick things for bag appeal. They're going to pick things for yield. They're going to pick things because they need to cater to the hype markets and keep changing it out. Look how often you can find the same strain consistently. Look, see if you have you ever seen the same strain every single time you're in the dispensary for years straight?
No, really.
No. So what do you do if that's the only one that works?
No,
There are ways you can balance it back out. Like if you can't have a specific, say you have an iron deficiency, you can take an iron supplement and then eat a comfortable diet. But if you can't get that iron supplement, or say you have a potassium deficiency, you can't get that potassium supplement, you can fill it out through your diet. But how much more do you have to consume? How hard are you trying to work to read those nutritional facts and figure it out? It's the same thing with cannabis. If the terps you need are rare, they're still in trace amounts in other strains. But instead of being able to be like, hey, I know I can use this one strain, you're constantly sitting there trying to concoct a cocktail to get the bits you need. And if you overshoot the wrong one, it doesn't need to be that hard. If people were allowed to have access to their medicine, if we could have patient collectives where people could share information, information is not illegal. No one wants to talk to each other because everything's been under prohibition for so long. Information is not illegal. So just communicate. libraryofcannabis@gmail.com or Smoke Show Science on Instagram. Like I said, it's going to look like a blank account. Don't worry. Just communicate. We can form an organized collective. We can pool so many resources that people don't expect. The way I learned all this stuff over the years was little bits of information, glimpses of what helped one patient. Someone's like, oh, I think that reminds me of this other strain I've tried. I wouldn't be here if it wasn't for people being able to share communication and share information. I will take whatever information the legacy market or patients or citizens are willing to provide, and I will partner it with scientists, with politicians, with advocates, and hit the ground running. And we'll legitimize this and we'll take it to the politicians and say, why don't medical patients have home grow? Why doesn't recreation have home grow? Because then our friends can be educated on how to grow the plants and we don't have to suffer and try to do it. Like, why is education being denied? Why is medicine being denied? Here's all the proof in the world that you would need to let us try to survive on our own.
We can't even get informational hearings.
No, that's why you call Scutari. I'm going to say the phone number. But
call it out.
If you don't mind, but I'll also give it to you that way.
Hold on, Bungholio, you're muted. Bungholio, you're muted.
Oh my God, no wonder. I said a few things. I thought I was in the conversation.
Wait, what did we miss from Bungholio? Hello, Bungholio. First of all, I didn't even say hi to you yet.
I thought I was in the conversation. I said a few things. I coughed before. I forgot to unmute it. Jeez, no wonder. There was like a moment or two where I didn't want to be rude. I felt like I was
rambling. I'm sorry.
It makes sense now.
I couldn't say a word. You had me crying when you were talking because you're speaking for so many patients that I hear these stories and I hear your story and it's hurtful to me because why isn't anyone helping you? Like, what's going on here in New Jersey?
I don't even care if they don't want to help me. Let me help myself.
Yes.
Like, let me help myself. Let me grow my plant. Let me pay to test it myself. I'll pay you to have a card that says I can grow my own plants. Like,
sure.
I will get, like, what do you want? Like, what can I give you?
Tax the shit out of my plants. Go ahead. I just want to grow it.
Yeah, tax me on a canopy size. Let me find my genetics. Let me stabilize my genetics so I'm not constantly on a wild goose chase and praying my rations don't run out.
Oh my God, you're outrunning a lobotomy. When you said that, I think I lost it. I'm serious. I know what epilepsy does to patients, and I know they do the hemispherical surgeries on some people, and it's like insane that they'll do that before they give you proper medical cannabis access.
They'll do that before they let you have RSO. For the record, the patients in the state of Michigan, when Michigan tried this nonsense, the patients in the state of Michigan sued Michigan for access to RSO, that it was medically necessary. And if they had a medical program, they need to be able to provide adequate amounts of RSO. And they won. We have precedent to fight this, but no one wants to fight it. No one even... Last year, when the CRC put through like the potency limits for the recreation side, no one batted an eye. No one even knew it was happening. That's the problem. No one can stay on top of this information when they're intentionally moving meetings or holding two different meetings at the same time so people can't go to both. Or they're saying, hey, don't show up if you're not registered to speak because the room isn't big enough. If the room isn't big enough, you have a responsibility to the entire state to provide a bigger room.
You've heard that? You've heard that one?
Oh, they'll say it in emails and everything.
Oh.
That like, hey, space is limited.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
So get bigger space.
Discourage you. They want to discourage you.
Outside, we could all fit.
Oh.
There is no excuse. That's the thing. The excuses they come up with are so thin. It's about worrying about the legacy market, which is going to be here anyway because they have so many restrictions on the recreational market. And they're worried that patients are going to fuel the legacy market when patients are the one who need it. We're not trying to give it out to other people. And they're worried about not having access to testing when they're the ones denying testing. They're worried that the plant count we're going to start growing 16-foot tall super plants. Here, switch it to canopy size, because then canopy size, I can hunt down my genetics because I might need a bunch of little clones until I figure out the right one. I might need to keep a mother plant. That way I have those genetics forever, because seed banks and storing your genetics, doing clones and cuts and things and tissue cultures are expensive. They're really expensive. None of their reasons even make sense when there's easy solutions. For canopy size fixes everything, because no one I know can also make enough medicine out of, like, if you need a gram a day of RSO, you can't actually produce that on your own with what the medical program is offering with the proposed bills, but it's better than nothing. And as we're out here begging for scraps. We're begging to pay the government for scraps. So
does RSO help you?
RSO helps me immensely. And the good news is it's shelf stable for a very long time. RSO is also wonderful because it can be titrated. You can start very, very, very slow. It's very good to put in infusions and things like that, so you can stretch it a very long way if you need to. RSO is Rick Simpson oil. It was originally designed by a cancer patient for his skin cancer. He would use it on his skin cancer and cover it up, and he actually cured his own skin cancer. There's a lot of documentation on it. There's a reason that it's a whole product category, is because it works. And other people found that it works for a lot of different conditions. You can use it as topical, or you can use it as edible. Certain cancer patients or patients with renal difficulties, I believe, use it as a suppository. You can use RSO and make lubrications if you need to, or if you have ovarian cysts and things like that, you can use it that way. We have an endocannabinoid system. It's pretty much perfectly tailored to work with that. And RSO is something that has everything out of the plant. It is the full spectrum of every cannabinoid and terpene and all the THC. from the plant, whereas a lot of other concentrates sacrifice certain aspects of that, or have added solvents and things. RSO is made with, it's an alcohol reduction. By the way, and if anyone hears that, that means like Everclear, not like isopropyl. Do not ever ingest isopropyl in any way, shape, or form.
Isn't that the difference between FICO and RSO? Is isopropyl, and the other is regular, like drinking alcohol, right? Like Everclear.
Well, that's the other problem, is with a lack of consistency and communication across cannabis markets in different communities in different states, and a lack of regulation as a whole, people could call anything they want to. Yeah. That's a big problem. So where you're saying, isn't this and this, I don't even want to specifically answer that, because I don't want to mislead people into going into the dispensary and thinking they're getting what they're getting.
Right.
If you ever see anything clear, it is distillate. It is not any form of RSO, for the record. RSO is not clear. It is a very, very dark, sticky, thick, like starting to dry out molasses type of thing. There's a lot of different things in between, but right off the bat, I want to let you know, if it's clear, it's distillate. Distillate is 100% THC, no cannabinoids, no anything else to it, and distillate is going to pretty much guaranteed give me seizures. So, or if you have other medical conditions, if you have neurologic conditions, psychiatric conditions, it can be really detrimental. When you hear the studies that come out that say THC can influence psychosis or cardiac problems or things like that, they're not talking about whole plant medicine cannabis, because the scientists aren't allowed to study that really. They're talking about what they can study, which is THC and isolate, THC and distillate. By itself, it's very unbalanced. Nature has a way of producing things in plants that they balance each other out. It's a very skewed extraction form. For certain patients, it's incredible. It's the best thing ever. It's the only thing that will touch their pain. For certain types of pain or certain types of conditions, it's great. It's great for really, really specific dosing, because we actually know how much THC it is versus, well, there's some THC in this mixture. So it could be really promising for things like night terrors associated with PTSD, because over a certain dosage of THC has actually been shown to disrupt REM, but still let you get fully healing sleep through different cycles. So REM is when you dream. So if you're someone who's experiencing night terrors, temporarily blocking REM while you're working through therapy and things, and might be beneficial. So specific dosing and knowing how to control your medicine, there are benefits to it, but it is very much not the same thing as RSO. And in most dispensaries, they don't necessarily know the difference of what type of concentrate is inside, especially your vapes, because they'll say full spectrum, but it'll be a THC distillate with a CBD isolate, and then a handful of reintroduced terps. That's not the same thing as there are dozens of cannabinoids, there are dozens of terpenes. Each plant could have, an abundance of compounds, and they're trying to simple it down to a handful. It's not the same thing.
Not for medicine.
Not for medicine. For recreation, have a blast.
Yeah.
Do whatever you want to do. And for lower, and for medical use that's not necessarily life dependent, you have a much broader range of what you can use. But it's also like picking out your favorite food or figuring out how to make your favorite Starbucks order in that case. Like, the little tweaks that end up making it better, and you don't realize, like, oh, this is my thing. Like when I'm having that This is what's going to bring me my moment of zen. You could yes. You could think of it that way and just have fun with it too. I don't mean to suck all the fun out of weed.
It's interesting how you got to your terp profile. Your friends pretty much would help you out with your terp profile.
Well, that was the other thing, not knowing the difference in strains. When I first started smoking, I couldn't even taste the difference, smell the difference, or anything like that. I didn't think it made all that much of a difference when I was on 9 different pharmaceuticals that all hit the same.
Right.
So,
oh man,
it took some time. There's always a learning curve. You're constantly learning. So my friends there's resources online where you can find some community information, like All Bud was a really great one in the early days. It's a website that I don't know if they have an app now, but you can actually search by medical condition and see what strains people recommended. And so that was really, really helpful early on in starting to understand what each strain did. Every time you try a new strain, write down how it makes you feel, and then go look at the profile, see what's in it. Eventually, if you get enough data, you'll start noticing patterns. Sometimes it's not right up front. Sometimes you got to be like, oh, actually, a bunch of the strains that helped me all have the same parent. And you're looking instead at lineage or genetics. But when you're starting blind in an open sea, because there's more cannabis strains than we can count at this point, having people who can make recommendations or looking up some basic information on what your conditions are and what strains have worked for other people is a good place to start. When you're really sick, if you know people that are really well versed in cannabis, they can actually, once you find some things that work and you can be like, hey, these couple strains seem to do good for me. These couple strains make me super paranoid or make me uncomfortable, like they make me too tired. Whatever your negatives are, keep track of your positives and your negatives for each strain. You give it to someone who's been around cannabis, they might be able to start picking out strains ahead of time or testing new strains ahead of time for you. Back in the days, they had like kings were scared of getting poisoned, so they had a royal tester that would eat the food before they did to make sure they didn't die. We kind of have a version of that in the cannabis industry, where healthy recreation patients who are familiar because they're your friends or they're your family or they're decent human beings who care, will taste strains ahead of time for you and let you know, like, hey, I think this is close to the terpenes you like. I think this reminds me of these other strains, like, or that, so I think it's safe for you. Or this reminds me of that one that you said was super duper duper bad for you, so I wouldn't risk it. And it sounds crazy that someone else could try your medicine ahead of time, but it's the same way that if you've been with a person for a long time, you could probably pick out a meal they might like at a restaurant or pick out one that they're not going to like this. Like, I like honey lavender. My roommate hates it. Neither of us are.
I love garlic strains. Always a fan of the garlic strains. Cheesy strains. I like tangy.
Black garlic is really, really good for me, but it's not perfectly balanced. It's really high in phellandrine, and that's a super rare terp. Not the rarest, but not very common. So black garlic, if you were trying to look for other strains like that and look for strains high in phellandrine, a few years back, it would have been impossible. Phellandrine wasn't actually even discovered until 2019 in eucalyptus, not even in cannabis, because we're always studying botanicals. We're just not allowed to study cannabis properly. And on a mass spec, I believe, whatever the testing is for terpenes, sorry, memory problems do kick in sometimes, the spectrum for phellandrine actually falls between 2 other terpenes. It falls in an overlap. So when they weren't testing for phellandrine, I think any phellandrine that was in the plant was actually misreading and elevating the levels of 2 other terpenes. So if we're not testing for the right thing, we can't even find out if it's in there. So a lot of places were a little slower to adapt phellandrine on to their terpene testing panels. I know in New Jersey, phellandrine is now on the terpene testing panel at Trichome Analytics. Now that we can test for it, we could find it. But any of the meds tested before it went on the panels, the testing is wrong. The terpene values are wrong because it's misreading phellandrine as two other terps. So
yeah, I tend to think that all the terpene readings on, and even the THC percentages on all the dispensary stuff, I don't even believe in any of it. I just tend to think that, like, and I could be totally wrong.
They test such a small sample size per batch that one, they could cherry pick the best of the best and it not be a representative of the whole.
For sure, yeah. That's I guess that's what I'm saying. I don't believe that their labels are fair representations of, they probably do it once a year.
And if you look into the values of what is actually allowed in our testing, the contaminant levels are, surface contaminants are high. Like it could have a piece of cat hair on it and pass testing if you look at the percentage standards. Also, in terms of terpenes are really, really potent. They can actually, some of them are used as chemical solvents. Some of them are used as, industrial cleaning.
I bet some of Lefty's weed's got some cat hair in it.
But terpenes can actually be caustic to your airways and your mucous membranes. So they now allow higher levels of reintroduced terpenes in New Jersey vapor, like Cardos and whatnot. So the terpenes could also be too harsh for you because it's unnaturally high.
Unnatural terps. What in grapefruit? What are the terps in? What is the terp in grapefruit that helps you?
Well, that's the thing. It's not one terpene. It's the ratio of how they all work together. There's close to 20 terpenes in it. So I'm trying to think of how to explain this. If you start logging all of the strains you use, every single one, and just a general idea of like anything notable about it, made me more awake, more tired, fixed my tremor, made me dizzy, made me hungry, whatever. Just start keeping track of all your strains and all your symptoms. Then you can sit down and you can actually pull up from online or from your dispensary labels all the different terpene profiles. They're never going to be exact. They're never going to be exactly what's in your plant, but you can start to see patterns like, oh, hey, these are all high in beta caryophyllene, or, I noticed this weird terp popping up in the strains that aren't good for me. I guess I should avoid anything with that in it. You can start to identify patterns. And
what are some strains that like don't do it for you? Some that you can honestly say you don't want.
A lot of the strong sativas. You had mentioned Tangy before. When I was on pharmaceuticals, Tangy was like the perfect strain. It was fixed. It like cured mental health problems for me when I was on all the pharmaceuticals because they were really throwing me off up there. I absolutely loved it. And being off all the pharmaceuticals, I can have a hit or two of Tangy, but it's not something I could use consistently, or it'll set off neurologic problems for me. A lot of the citrus or the strong sativas will cause problems for me. That's why grapefruit is such an interesting strain, because it's a hybrid. A lot of things are. But if you actually look at the bud, it has a really, really light green, and it has those bright orange hairs, which kind of resembles a sativa, but then it has that heavy dark purple to it. I call it the best of both worlds. It has enough of the sativa type terps to kick my brain back on, but enough of the indica type terps to protect it, to be a neuroprotectant. So understanding what conditions you're trying to treat is really important too. So like not all pain is created equal. You're going to want to treat nerve pain differently than you want to treat the pain of breaking your leg versus the pain of inflammation, chronic inflammation and arthritis. If you look at pharmaceuticals, we have different medications for all of these things because you need to treat them a little different. So like Humulene is a really, really great option. If you're looking for an anti-inflammatory, you can look it up on PubMed, I believe, or Wiley Online, one of the official libraries. And Humulene has been shown to have stronger than steroid level anti-inflammatory properties. So if you're someone who uses steroids for pain or steroids to manage your health conditions, looking into strains that are really high in Humulene might be nice. Might work well for you. Or if you have like optic pain pressure, Humulene might be a good one to aim for. That's why I'm saying anyone who has specific conditions or specific questions, you can reach out to me directly and I will do the best I can for you. Hopefully, as things evolve and go forward, we'll be able to have proper cannabis counseling where people can work with patients and work to develop the strains they need or to tailor their medicine.
I'm on Leafly now, and straight grapefruit talks about myrcene.
Myrcene is super common. It's in mangoes. Myrcene is going to be dominant or present in most strains of cannabis. Carafilene is one of the other ones it's saying right there. It says it's peppery. But carafilene affects the way things move through the blood-brain barrier, I believe. I don't have all my terpene notes out tonight. So if you're using any other strains or any other medications, carafilene is going to affect the pharmacokinetics. So it's going to affect how it works within your body. Funny enough, a lot of medications warn against eating grapefruit juice, like the actual fruit, while you're on different heart medicines, different psychiatric and neuro medicines. So it ends up being funny that grapefruit is the strain that ends up working on a lot of those things too.
Yeah, it looks like the parent of that is Cinderella 99.
Well, this is where not having legacy records is difficult, and needing to rebuild things myself as a patient is important. No one knows what the crosses are technically. And Cindy 99 is a pretty strong sativa.
Oh, you don't want sativa?
No. So that's where I'm like, I can't use Cinderella 99 on its own. To be honest, grapefruit on its own, if I was to use it all day, would be too far of a sativa for me. I need grapefruit to make my emergency rescue medication. Grapefruit, for me, works like paddles, like a defibrillator.
Yeah, see, I love that Cinderella 99. Lefty, you know that. I rave about that. That's one of my favorite strains too.
I do have some Cindy 99 if you want to smoke one day.
Yeah, no, it's always fascinating. The different strains that people that works for them, ones they enjoy. It's always a fascinating concept with the whole thing.
Yeah, and that's why it's a sense of community too once you get into it, because it's the same way people like to share food and share recipes. You share your strains. It's a little bit of a way of saying, hey, this is what it's like to be me. How's it to be you? Like, you can kind of get in someone's head once you know their favorite strain. You get a little bit of perspective, or it's at least a way to open up a conversation. So Cindy 99, like you just said, that's your favorite strain. I ended up being like, oh wait, I have some, like, if you'd like to smoke it.
Well, that's one of the few strains that there's constant access to the same, like, it's the same batch that keeps coming out. You know what I mean? So it's also that too, because a lot of this is, accessibility. So, through being limited to the accessibility issues, that being one of the very good strains that I can always have access to, and it works well for me, has become one of my favorites for that reason, circumstantially as well, for that reason. Because it's nice to be able to find something consistent, because then works for you. That's why I say, I always rave about that because of where it's coming from. I know the quality of it. It's always good, and I'm always happy, and it always does the trick.
And it's not a dispensary.
No, not at all. And that's no.
How about that?
Crazy.
Yeah,
because consistency and reliability is important, and a lot of time private growers will maintain the same mother or protect the same genetics, whereas commercial grows, they'll grow it out and throw it out, and then when eventually they cycle back to doing that strain again, it's gonna not even be the same phenos. It's gonna be new. And again, I say stuff sometimes and realize I might need to explain it if anyone's watching. Phenos are different phenotypes, and it means they have different genetic presentation. So they're going to have different terpene profiles. And if that seems weird that the same plant can make two different plants, think about brothers and sisters who came from the same parents. They're not the same creature. They're two very different people. So two different phenos can be two very different plants. But having consistency where a grower would be able to keep a mother, which is why changing the language of Bill, I think it's 324, I might have that mixed up at the moment, but changing the language of the bill to canopy size versus plant count is important, because then they can keep multiple strains for multiple patients, even if it's still contained to the same size. They might not need to grow out the batch for that patient for another year. But to save those genetics and save that medicine so you can have consistency and have reliability is a game changer for people with chronic illness.
I know that there's a strain called Durban poison. And it's got something called veratamine in it, and it helps people with diabetes. And some dispensaries had it for a while, and then they didn't have it because it was gangly. It didn't make a lot of money for the dispensaries. And actually, it looked like crap when I bought it there. It had little white seeds in it when I bought one. And it was just crap. It was garbage.
A lot of the medically relevant strains are ugly or low yield, or they don't really smell or taste that good. It's weird on your palate. And that's because they're closer to landrace strains. With landrace is original, we didn't mess with it, came from the earth, marijuana. A lot of these rare terpenes that you're, like the one you just mentioned from Durban poison, are what we call recessive traits almost in terms of presentation. So the same way that red hair is dying out because you have to have both parents with red hair to make someone have red head. These dominant terps like myrcene will overshadow it in the presentation in the children. So like same way brown hair and brown eyes are more likely than blue eyes. These certain traits become more prevalent as plant genealogy progresses. And so it kills out those really specific medically essential terpenes that make all the difference. And we get these really muddled, high yield hybrids that smell like sweet because they want the bag to have appeal. And it does nothing for the patients, but it does great for the rec consumers. And why would they care about medical patients that they're not making taxes off anymore when all their money is coming from rec patients? They just want us to vouch for their dispensary medicine, to be like, oh, this one helped, so all the rec patients keep going there. They're using us for marketing and giving us nothing.
That's a meme right there. A sad fucking meme. Really pisses me off. This whole situation. It's just. Well, let me tell you something. If you take the day off on January 25th, we're all going to the State House. We're setting up a huge tent, a glamping tent with a floor and a stove in it, and we're going to hotbox for home grow on the State House lawn on January 25th.
Absolutely.
And we're going to get Scutari's attention that day. We're going to have a big inflatable rat.
We're going to get Scutari's attention before that, because anyone listening or anyone watching
tomorrow, it's Friday. Call his office tomorrow. What's his number? They've asked Scutari's number, and we can call him now too. Leave him a message. Call him right now.
732-827-7480. I'm going to say it again in case anybody missed it.
Yeah, be dialing, people. Be dialing.
732-827-7480. And like I said, if you don't want to tell him you grow, if you don't want to vouch for home grow, say me. Say my friend Andrea is sick. Nothing can stop SUDEP but home grow. Let's get his attention. I will set off a seizure in front of him if that's what it takes, and I will stop it, both using cannabis. You know, this has gone on too long. It's gone on too long. Your other option, library of cannabis at gmail.com. Tell him to message me.
Hold on. Resetting my mixer for 1 second. Give me 1 second.
Yeah. Just turn it on my vaporizer.
I don't think you guys can hear me yet. Hold on.
There, can you hear me? Am I back? Okay, let's see if my there we go. Connected. All right, let's do this now. Let's give him a call. Where's the phone? All right, what should we say? You want to talk to him? You want to leave a message? We can hear us all.
Tell him to host an informational hearing on medical cannabis home grow.
Let's ask him that.
Talk to patients.
Let's start there.
Office of Senate President Nicholas Scutari
is not available.
Scutari?
Your call.
Have I been saying it wrong?
Message after the
I've been saying it wrong all these years. Scutari?
Address him.
Hi, this is Lefty Grimes. I'm sorry. I thought I had the wrong number. I would like to ask the Senate President to please have informational hearings on home grow for patients, medical patients. Medical patients are suffering. Andrea, tell them we need help. We're hurting.
Senator Scutari, forgive me if I don't pronounce your name right, but you don't even know mine. I'm a medical patient in New Jersey. I have epilepsy and brain damage. I have been off all pharmaceuticals for years now. They gave me no hope except a lobotomy or brain surgery. Nothing has helped me except for cannabis. But not all cannabis is created equal. Strains matter, quality matters, and cleanliness matters. The ability to have my own medication matters. With epilepsy, there's a condition called SUDEP. It's sudden unexplained death in epilepsy patients. There's nothing they can do medically to stop it when it's happening. Every seizure could be fatal. The only chance is preventing them. There's a specific strain of cannabis that helps prevent and stop my seizures while it's happening. That is not available in New Jersey. I need access to grow my own medicine. It is my only option, and I'm not the only medical patient whose life depends on this. You said New Jersey isn't ready. New Jersey's been ready since the start of the medical program. Hospice patients are dying without access to their medicine because the J. Koenig institutional caregivers failed. We can't get our medicine in hospitals, and we can't get our medicine at home. What do you expect us to do? It's not a disgrace that the politicians are prioritizing profits over patient health. It's a death sentence. Scutari, I would love nothing more than to talk to you and voice the concerns of the patients and ask to add canopy size to the proposed bills and talk about the value of home grow for both medical patients and recreational patients, because just because we're sick doesn't mean we don't need support. You're isolating and punishing patients. Please hear me out and sit down, listen to other patients. I have scientists and doctors who are willing to back me up. I have analytic labs that do testing for cannabis in this state on our side. Anything, any resource you need, any information you need, I can provide, and I am willing to. Sir, I'm willing to put my life on the line. I can trigger seizures with certain strains of cannabis, and I can stop them with certain strains of cannabis. If you need me to do this in front of you or in front of the entire Senate to prove that strains matter and home grow is a medical necessity, I will. You tell us what you need from us, because the entire state is willing to share an opinion on this. Please just hear us out. I can be reached at libraryofcannabis@gmail.com. I will also be reaching out to you with my phone number directly, but seeing as there are other people on this call, I'm not going to disclose that at the moment. But please email me, libraryofcannabis@gmail.com. I'd be happy to answer any questions or jump through whatever other hoops you may ask me to at this point. Have a great day.
Yeah, at least consider changing the penalties for growing. A cancer patient or a patient with epilepsy gets 5 years in jail for a plant. Can we get that down to nothing?
To nothing.
To nothing.
Can we get that down to what is the danger in me having a garden? Can we get that down to realizing that the Hippocratic Oath should protect our use of cannabis and our right to garden? Can we have institutional caregivers? Can you stop making it harder for us to survive? Can we talk and actually make some progress and stop avoiding the real questions and pretending this has anything to do with money or testing? None of that is important compared to the priorities of human life and protecting the next generation and actually getting science and medicine back on the same side. Information is not illegal.
Your message has reached its maximum duration. To send your message, press 3 or hang up. To delete your current message and record a new one, press 1. Your message has been sent. To repeat this menu, press the pound key.
That's how it's done, boys and girls. So tomorrow or now,
you do it again.
Do it again. Do what you just heard. Do that.
You don't even need to do that much if you don't want to. Like I said, anything you can. Call him and just be like, hey, call Andrea. Email her at libraryofcannabis.com. Medical patients need a voice. I don't care. Call his office. Let him know people are paying attention, because honestly, how many of you really followed through and called a politician's office before? Not a lot of people actually do. It doesn't take that. If 1,000 people in this entire state called that man's office in the next week, specifically saying, talk to me, probably going to have to listen. It doesn't take as many people as you think.
Is it Is it Scuteri?
Scuteri. I didn't know it was Scuteri.
I mean, why would his office have that mispronounced? That's got me tripping out.
No, they didn't pronounce. No, that's his office.
Yeah, I
Bong?
could very well be wrong.
I've never heard
I see it in
Scuteri.
writing
I've never
more
heard
than-
anyone say that.
I'm shocked. Right, I thought I had the wrong phone number. I really did.
That's like, I'm thinking it's like an automated, like, you know how like automated like response to like some, I don't know.
But it sounded like I don't know.
Sounded like a professional guy, right? But it could have been automated.
So call Senator Scuteri and go, honk for home grow. Honk for home grow. We want home grow.
We want home grow. We need home grow.
Home grow, please.
And plus, everyone wants to grow weed and smoke weed. Like, it doesn't have to be all this serious either. Like, it benefits everyone.
Not a big deal, people.
You don't. Yeah, one, you wouldn't know the difference. If I'm allowed to grow in a room in my house, you'll never know the difference either way.
Well, Ohio just got home grow. Ohio, and you know what they're doing in Ohio? They're saying, well, the voters really didn't understand what they were voting on, so we're going to make sure that they don't have home grow now, and they're taking all that out now. Yeah. Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. Just like what they did in Jersey, but different.
That's why if we can make a united front, we need to and change the narrative with Scuteri. If we can change it away from money and away from, oh no, what's the legacy market going to do, and put the conversation back where it should be on, do medical patients need this? Is it able to be provided by the New Jersey dispensaries? Do we need home grow? It has nothing to do with the other markets. It has nothing to do with it. Change the conversation. Make it about home grow being necessary. It doesn't matter what it costs the state, because it's not going to cost them anything to let me grow a plant in my house.
No, it'll cost you. They'll want some money from you for a license and for whatever,
and
some fee.
That's why we can sit down and have a conversation. If the politicians are willing to have a conversation, there are a lot of people in New Jersey that are so disheartened by the corruption and by how long they've lied to us and dragged this out that they just will not support the New Jersey market. They won't support the legal market. I know people that buy a stand, they're like, this isn't fair. This isn't what we voted on. New Jersey voted on the intention of home grow when we passed our laws. Even when we passed the recreational law, everyone was expecting home grow.
I think a lot of these big companies too also probably had some like exorbitant amount of like idea of what their profits would be over time, and they probably like losing, and if they're not meeting what their projection is, then in their eyes they're losing money in their like billionaire outlook. So I tend to think that they have a lot of these big ones and stuff, and I don't know, probably haven't even met what their projected profit would be. I mean, I have a feeling that a lot of their businesses, with now a lot of dispensaries being open, I'm sure their sales are suffering more and their numbers are getting even worse. And that's like, when Murphy says, got to get the industry off the ground, that's the only thing that makes sense to me. He's just referencing their the fact that they haven't met their projected, profit. And that's not our problem.
It's not the med patient's problem. That's not our problem.
But what a crazy, I mean, that's just my take.
I can't buy the medicine that's going to make me sicker from them. What do they expect? Like, there are times you're not going to cater to patients like me.
A lot of promises were made, and a lot of these billionaires aren't getting the money they thought they would. That's what I think.
By the way, this is just a vaporizer. It's a plenty.
Because there is no,
I'm smoking on some grapefruit right now, actually.
Oh, right on.
Grapefruit moonshine, to be specific, because finding straight grapefruit is non-existent. But as an asthma patient, my lungs can't really handle combustion too much, so vaporizers help.
You were taking apart houses, and you gave us a huge ramp, 25-foot ramp for somebody. So we're hoping to give that away still.
Oh, okay. I was just about to ask if anyone.
The person, the guy we were going to give it to died. The guy in Mattawan, he died. Yeah. So, yeah, it sucks, right? So, we have that ramp there, and we have a chairlift too, which I may actually have for somebody. I may have the chairlift for somebody, but I put it out there. So if you have any more ramps, we're willing to take them. I have storage in East Hanover for those. They'll definitely be used.
Absolutely.
And anyone who's listening, positive vibes and love, send it all in Brian Cummins' direction. He got cancer, dealing with all the other shit. So send all the love, all the positive vibes in his direction. Yeah, Brian, I'm devastated for him. Like, that's just,
he already has MS, and he's suffering with progressive MS. He's having a hard time with that. And now he goes in there with appendicitis, and then it's not really, well, it was appendicitis, but it was that cancer that you get from your appendix. It's very rare, and it's really it's awful. Awful.
I was thinking about him all day, man. And then, like, you know, I'm laughing and working, keeping busy, you know. It's on my mind. It's on my mind, you know. I'm like, Jesus Christ. And then I got home, and, like, on my ride home, I'm just like, now it's in my head, and I'm just like, man, I'm just like, started getting angry for a second, and just for a slight second. But they're just like consumed with just devastation for him, man. Ugh, kills me, man. But yeah, set positive vibes and loves in Brian's direction, man.
Yep.
Yeah, nothing but.
Can he get cannabis in the hospital? I don't think so.
No, that's the Jake Honig's institutional caregivers.
I don't think he has one.
No, they don't. New Jersey dropped it. They fell off. They never put the program in place. No one knows what happened to it, and I can't get to a CRC meeting because they changed them or moved the times. And
that was today, by the way.
There was one this morning.
There was one this morning, and Chris Goldstein spoke about how you can buy an eighth of cannabis in Pennsylvania from Air for $17. That same cannabis at Air across the river in Jersey is like $50. And it's like, oh, wait, it's the same company, same weed, but
New Jersey is bleeding patients dry because they can.
Wow. So
we
spoke on that. And they spoke about Terracen. Terracen was fined, I think, $10,000 or $20,000. And then the lady from Terracen gets up there and she's like, oh, we do our due diligence. We're a great company. We really care about the patients. Blah, blah, blah. In the meantime, I was on their medical advisory board, and they had one meeting in a year. 2 meetings in a year. 2 meetings in 4 years. And I begged them for meetings. They never had meetings. I begged them for meetings. They would never have meetings. They didn't care. They didn't want to hear what patients had to say. They used us to get their license because they had to have patients on their board to get the license, and that's what they used us for. They use us. They keep using us. They step on us.
And that's why it's time to fight back. It's time to say enough to it. I'm sitting down with a few people next week, and we're going to try to get an organized movement together because there are a lot of different advocacy groups for home grow or for specific medical patients, but they don't communicate and interact, and it works a lot better when we all do things together at the same time. So, Lefty, when was that day? January 25th?
Yes, Thursday, January 25th. Coldest day of the year, hopefully. Middle of winter. Hopefully there's a big pile of snow in front of us. I'm excited.
January 25th.
Yes.
We'll see if we can bring everybody out there. We'll make a stink, make a scene.
Make a stink, make a scene.
Hopefully by then, Scatari will be out there celebrating with us and clarify how to pronounce his name.
Yeah, now we can come up with different memes if it's Scatari, because then it rhymes with scary. There's different play on everything. Scary. It changes a lot.
Scary Scatari.
We've all been calling him Scatari forever.
I thought so. I could come out.
If we're all wrong, I love that part of this whole thing. I think that's great.
We hold on the wrong name for 10 years. That's hilarious. That's just so funny.
I mean, if I was him and everybody was calling me the wrong name, I'd be like, no, we got to let them run with this. This is great.
Yeah,
doesn't matter to me. Everybody just keeps saying,
right, here, for example, today, Chris Goldstein was going to speak. I said, watch, they're going to call him Chris Goldstein. And sure enough, they called him Chris Goldstein. So he gets up there and he's like, he said to the person, it's Goldstein, but that's okay. And I laughed. I'm like, I knew it. I knew you'd say something. Because it is Goldstein. And if you looked at his name, you'd say Goldstein. It's spelled Goldstein. Everybody I know is Goldstein, but he says it Goldstein. So, Scutori, whatever you want to be called, bro. The Don of cannabis, the Godfather of cannabis in New Jersey.
The Scatman Scutori if you want. I don't care.
Godfather Scutori of cannabis. There, I'm kissing your ring. Whatever you want. Just give me home grow.
Well, that's the thing. He's finally open to thinking about it. I hate when politicians talk to like the general public like we're children. And it's the same way like a parent will distract. It's like, oh, maybe someday I'll be open to thinking about the possibility of the you're open to it, but you're throwing out all these nonsense reasons. If any of them are legitimate, sit down and have a conversation with patients. Open up the informational panel. Like
he's open to maybe thinking about it someday.
Yeah, but it doesn't seem like it'd be happening now.
That's just about.
So
like really, dude? Like just
that's progress.
No.
It's
absolutely. If I was a betting man, that's where I think it would land. That's what Murphy said. If I was a betting man, that's where I think it would land.
Well, here's where I think it's going to land because everybody is going to get annoying and get loud now. And it's going to be on bill S342 is the patient one, is just patient home grow. But there is another bill, and I believe it's 343 or 344. And that provides for both medical and recreational home grow.
Which has more support? I believe the patient bill has a little more support.
The strictly patient bill has a little more support, and that's not surprising because across the country, there's a lot more states that have only medical than both. Obviously, when New Jersey voted for recreational, it was like implied that we were getting recreational grow with it, but they took that back because patients didn't have grow. Like they used patients as an excuse to not give rec the grow. So we got to start somewhere. I'd rather have both because sick people, I know there's a provision in place for a caregiver, but when you're trying to find the right strain, it takes time to grow. It's not a magic play. You don't pop it in the microwave. So by the time you grow it out, if it's the wrong one and that's the only person who can grow your medicine, you're stuck with a strain that might not work for you or might even make you worse. If recreational patients are allowed to grow too, you know what? Your friend might have tried a different version of it, and that might be the one that helps. Like we have the chance to learn. We have the chance to educate. And when's the last time New Jersey had like a big healthy hobby like gardening? Closest thing we had recent years was Pokemon Go. Like, if New Jersey starts gardening, it's not the worst thing.
We need hemp remediation for sure. We've got a lot of chromium here in Bayonne.
Hemp is an amazing plant for remediation. It basically works like, those bottom feeder fish that suck everything gross off the bottom?
Even
Hemp kind of does that to the soil. It cleans both the soil and the air, which is a nice combination. And then hemp can be used for everything from papers, fabrics, to hempcrete is one of my favorite oddities that it can be used for.
You know what I really enjoy? Me and Lefty, we've been rolling up with 6 different strains at once and just getting hit with all sorts of cannabinoids. And a 2023 salad ain't what it used to be. This is some real treats. I went home the one night. I just it was so hard not to go to bed.
You write down the strains and okay, we're going through number 1 now, which is Silver Haze. Okay, now we're burning through number 2, which is
we were doing in pockets.
Oh, it was great.
Oh, that's fun.
Writing it down and then using the reference sheet to refer to it when we knew we were hitting each pocket.
We had a key code.
We had a key code for our roll.
And
Come on.
That's awesome. That's what I have to do as a patient, because you have to mix and match strains to get all the terpenes that you need.
Yes.
So yeah, you're going to get really medicated. The more you swap out your strains, the more medicated you're going to feel too, because it's going to be.
So I'm noticing
more
that's
well-rounded.
really, it's such a simple trick, but wow, it really works.
That's another way they're punishing patients, with the potency limits and without having home grow. If you're chronically ill or terminally ill, you can't exactly take tolerance breaks the way they would recommend to recreational patients. So you're punishing a med patient who is now going to have to go over the dispensary limit because they survived longer than you expected them to. Is this really what it boils down to? Like, they survived long enough to build a tolerance because it works, and now they're not going to be able to access that medicine because it's too much of it to keep them alive. Let us have home grow. That's why they'll say, if I was a betting man, that's why they'll distract you in any way possible, because there's no real way to have that conversation.
Yeah, that's such a political politician answer. Just it's nothing. It's saying nothing with saying stuff. You're saying stuff by saying nothing.
And that's why I'm like, hey, if I can get FaceTime with him, I can
zero
get
substance to the comment.
I can make him look me in the eyes and tell me why I deserve to die instead of grow a plant. Because I'm stubborn. I'll just sit there.
I know you want to look at me in my eyes, but can you look at my hair? It's beautiful, isn't it? It's really filling out. That's what he wants everyone to look at.
Yeah. He's probably going to run for president.
I mean,
you think that's presidential hair?
Not this.
I don't think that's presidential hair. I think that's a leap if that's what's going on there.
He's got to fix his teeth too. So 2028, when he gets his teeth fixed. Nobody wants an ugly president.
Yeah.
Have we ever had an ugly president?
It's weird, but we're Jersey, man. We're from Jersey. You got to think big on this one. Those teeth might get the votes. Think big there. If he has proper guidance, people in his corner who have his interest at heart, they may say, "No, leave the teeth, man. You need to connect with the American people. Don't
George Washington teeth.
You're
like George Washington, bro. It's good."
Exactly. That is presidential teeth. I don't know about the hair.
Oh, he used the slaves' teeth. George Washington had teeth of slaves. No, Phil. You can't do that, Phil. You need to have some guidance, Phil.
He probably will run for president.
Yeah. He's got so much money, that guy. What else is he going to do with his life? He's bored. He goes to Italy, spends time in his little villa over there.
And then comes back here and just bullies medical patients.
Bullies us. You know what? He walked in front of our podcast one day, and there was people in wheelchairs. There were sick people out there, and he walked by so fast, we talked to the back of his head. We talked to the back of his head as he walked away from us. It was like...
And that's when he didn't have hair.
That's right.
That was like a whole different head you were trying to talk to.
So sad. Yeah, these guys don't care about us.
They don't care. But
we have to be noisy. We have to make them care by putting pressure on them and being noisy like you're doing right now. I love it. Keep it up. You had me crying before. I'm like, yeah, just keep going because you make me cry. I'm a tough guy. You're gonna make anyone cry because I'll tell you.
Well, that's the thing is, I don't want to do this. I don't want to. No offense, like I love you guys. You're awesome. But I don't want to come out here and air my dirty laundry and my medical history. And
this is why.
Mad respect. No, mad respect for doing so.
Because you're trying to take your life here. This is your life on the line here.
Yeah.
And that's where I'm like, everyone else, I know people have tried for years. I'm not sitting here being like, oh, we've never had advocates care about the bills. No one's ever made a phone call. But I'm saying at this point, let's make it a fucking circus if they want to avoid us. Let's make it unavoidable. Let's make it ridiculous. Why won't this guy answer the phone if 1,000 people call and say talking to the one person, 1,000 people is nothing out of the state of New Jersey? but it makes you look real silly in front of other senators when you're ignoring 1,000 people asking you a specific question. It put them in the position where they have to publicly host informational panels or publicly host medical patients, because it'll put them in the position where they're cornered and they can't just change the subject. Make it a medical panel, so you have to answer to medical patients, because we're the ones who are going to ask you, like, why can't we have the plans? Like, what do you prioritize more than the life of your constituents? What do you prioritize more than the life of sick children who have no other options? Like, are you going to wait until your own family has no other options? Because here's the thing, that's usually when people flip sides, is when they're out of options or when someone they love is out of options. Would you rather have a community that's ready to support you and has structure and knowledge and resources ready and grown in place? God forbid that day comes. Or would you rather be come join our side and start screaming at the politicians too to make a change, because there's nothing you can do? Like, do you want to fight this fight when, you know what? Unfortunately, you end up having cancer and you're in bed. Like, do you want to make these phone calls from a hospital bed? Do you want to make them over like your sick parent or child? No, like, it's a random Thursday night, guys. If you're not doing anything, 30-second phone call. And then you know what? At some point tomorrow, maybe skip a TikTok and put in a 30-second phone call. And the day after that, they're closed, but they have a voicemail, so you could still put in a phone call.
732-827-7480. 732-827-7480. Be dialing, people. Be dialing.
Fun part is you can also share that phone number on your Instagram or your Facebook or your Twitter or your whatever, and you can have anybody make that phone call, because that answering machine takes calls from everywhere. If you don't have to live in his district, you got friends in other states, if you have a network of people that have been helping you or saying like, oh God, I know you're sick, I wish there was something I can do, I know there's nothing I can do for you, they'll probably be excited to hear. It'll probably make them feel a little good that for once there's something they can do for you, and it's just make a 30-second phone call. They'll probably be confused, but let them do it. It'll feel good for them, it'll feel good for you, and we can harass this man into listening.
Let's do it. I love the energy. I'm down.
And that's where I'm like, hey, if you don't want to tell your story, just tell him I will literally put my life on the line in front of him to prove a point. I will pull scientists, I will pull patients, I will pull the man can say what he wants, what he needs to be convinced, what he's concerned about. He can give me his list of concerns and demands, and I promise we can find and answer them, because homegrow is basic medicine, and it's the only way to ensure safe handling. It's the only way to ensure specific custom genetics. And why not? Like, he doesn't have any good reasons. Why not? Like, I would love to hear one.
Well, you gave him a lot of good reasons, because the dispensaries are garbage and he's worried that people will grow better weed than dispensaries. Who knows, you know? Like, because there's some value to that. Dispensaries are not favorable, you know? I mean, there's some value to that bizarre warped thinking if you're like worried about a billionaire's profit, you know? Like, because that would be the only, would that be a real threat for that kind of mindset? Who knows? But like, that would be the ideal outcome for the patient for sure, you know, but not wanting the patient to have an ideal outcome, you know, over the profit of billionaires is just, it's just so opposite sides of the spectrum.
He's bringing up a conversation that has nothing to do with the question, is what drives me insane. The question is do patients need access to home grow? And he's like, oh, well, the recreation market might not. But if you want to handle those as separate questions, we can. If we want to address recreational home grow, plenty of reasons for that too. But to deny medical home grow on the basis of it funding the black market, us not being able to have testing, which is their own fault. The government can fix that by just removing that regulation and letting us bring our cannabis to the labs.
Let's see, here it is.
Ask him why homegrown cannabis is still unlawful. Mandatory 5-10 years imprisonment for just one plant. New York recently allowed homegrown when recreational cannabis was legalized. Why does New Jersey want to punish patients for wanting to grow their own medicine?
Yeah, I will say, is it Kevin?
Kevin.
Jen, let's get Paramel or someone like that to get to Kevin. Again, we're going to get to all you folks within the next 24 hours, if humanly possible. I'm Kevin, punchline, I'm very much open-minded to this. I would bet, if I were a betting man, that down the road that's exactly where this would land. I understand, having said that, why it wasn't in our initial regs, because I think there's a rightful objective to get this industry up on its feet and make sure that the folks who are in this as a matter of commerce are successful. And again, with a huge amount of focus on equity, social justice is how I got here to begin with, to support it. What we've done, by the way, has gone really well. We just haven't done enough.
Commerce.
He keeps saying commerce. And social equity is not just about racial equity. It's about the people that were...
What about the black people that are arrested for growing weed? What about Willie Beamer? What about Anthony Diaz? What about Melvin Marrero? What about the black and brown people that are going to jail for growing weed? Where's the social equity there? It's all bullshit. The whole thing is a sham.
The whole thing's a sham. That's why I'm like, they keep changing the conversation. The conversation is, why is New Jersey the only state without medical homegrown?
Yeah, because how sick would you have to be for them to be like, all right, we're not going to prosecute them? Like, what's that line?
There is no line. They will prosecute you no matter who you are in New Jersey. That's why it's not a racial social equity thing. They're coming after everyone. You're either an MSO or they're coming after you. Like, it's social equity would be us allowing legacy growers to get to get registered to actually be caretakers and providers. It would be letting the last grow shops and illegal dispensaries in New Jersey go legal. It would, social equity would be not costing $1 million to get into the cannabis industry. Social industry equity is hospice patients having access to the medicine that they paid you for the card to have access to. They paid for the dispensary and they're not allowed to use. It's broken, and it's not about commerce, because you guys, I don't think they realize that, like, they can't make money off dead people. Like, they can't make money off of people who have to leave the state. They can't make money if they're selling stuff that's going to make us sicker. We're not going to buy it. But if we have home grow and are able to be healthy enough to be more productive and functional and active members of society, if we're healthy enough to be present, we might choose to spend some of our recreational money at your dispensary, as long as our actual medicine is protected. We, as patients, can never put recreation above health. Constantly changing the narrative to commerce is the biggest problem we have, because as long as they're talking about commerce, as long as they're talking about
that's his problem,
black versus white market, there's room for debate. There's no room for debate on health.
I mean, I ain't worried about it. I ain't worried about I'm not worried about the business investors who might be losing money or not making enough.
If any dispensary, here's the other thing. I put out some letters last year. The closest I got was the CEO of an MSO in California that was supposedly coming here. If anyone works at a dispensary, any dispensary, medical or recreation, and you can convince the people you work for, if you can convince the dispensary owners to publicly back home grow, you will gain the faith of so many people in New Jersey that vowed to never buy from the legal market. If any dispensary actually cares about patients, because these were treatment centers, these were, places for people to get medicine, and there supposedly still are. If any of them actually cared about patients, like they stand up at these CRC meetings and say, they would be backing homegrown, because anyone with any degree of common sense in cannabis knows how many strains there are and knows it's physically impossible as a dispensary to carry every strain, which means you are neglecting patients and you're actively choosing to not let them get that medicine. It's not just that you're not providing it, you're standing in the way of them getting it. You don't care about patients. If you're a dispensary owner, if you have any influence in any dispensary, politicians will listen to you because you're the ones that they're trying to siphon money from. Back home grow, and you will be backed by so many citizens in New Jersey that never would have backed you. That people will come, they will drive towns over to avoid the dispensary that they hate to come to you guys because you backed home grow. And you know what? This is New Jersey. We're allowed to bake our own bread and grow our own tomatoes. No one does. We're lazy. This is New Jersey. No one has time or space. We're busy and lazy. If we can pay for convenience, we will. A lot of people that don't need to grow might try it as a fad. It's not as easy as you'd think either. There's a lot of science and work and time that goes into it. They're all going to go back to the dispensaries. Not everybody grows their own tomatoes and bakes their own bread all the time. We buy stuff at stores. Most of them will. People with food allergies like me, I'll bake my own bread because I can't have yeast in bread, and right now I can't have carbs. I can make an egg white fluffy bread substitution, but I can't go buy bread in a store. But
change
no one
is
else
nothing
is
for the industry, and it's life changing for the people. So
yeah, so if any dispensary will back home grow, it's really at least medical home grow, even just medical home grow, even if you don't want to back rec home grow. You're not
even do it.
profits.
I would want them to do it, even if their meanings like there's a small window. Let's hope that there's a small window from now till home grow, right? So just like do it for the, even if it's all for crap, just know that you can make your business. Do it for branding reasons, even if it's like not for the right reasons. I'm like that kind of guy. Like I don't even expect great from people or even good, but like do it for like your own selfish reasons. Protect your brand, because you're right. You're right, Andrea. People would go to the dispensary. They'd fly right past 4 or 5 to go to one that supported home grow for the convenience if it's time when you're out or you're low or whatever. I mean, you bring up a great point with that. And there's such a small window for them to always succeed and write history for themselves and their branding and their professional, consumer relationship with people. So the fact that they don't even do it for their own selfish reasons like that is silly.
Like, you could pander so hard. Just pander to us. Pander to us a little bit. Like, just pretend to support the medical patients when, like, Lefty, you said you were working with the dispensary and stuff, and they didn't really hold the meetings for medic.
No, not at all.
So,
not in Jersey. In Delaware, they have that kind of support. In Delaware, they have the support of some politicians and some dispensaries that are actually supporting them. And they're getting, traction. We don't have that in New Jersey. Not one. Maybe some smaller dispensaries like Baked by the River. When we know those guys, and Sugar Leaves up here in Dover.
So that's what I'm saying is, if you don't think you're in an industry that this really has to do with, get loud. I don't care if you literally are a plant store that is not cannabis related. Be like, hey, we want more people to garden. Home grow would be good for us. Doesn't matter. They care about commerce. Take the commerce angle. Say like, hey, we think gardening will increase our business. We'll be able to sell more pots and topsoil. Like, if they care about commerce, take the commerce angle. Wherever you are, whatever you have, throw it at them, because this affects your life. This affects my life. Let's let them know they're regulating all of this, and they have no clue what it's like to be a part of the community or to struggle to not find community when you need it. It's get loud. find an angle. Or if you don't know what your angle is, libraryofcannabis@gmail, email me, or Smoke Show Science on Instagram, DM me. I will talk you through it. If you need personal medical help with your personal medicine marijuana journey, I'll talk you through it the best I can. If you want to help politically, if you want to advocate, I'll bring you on board. I have some people from down south that I'm actually meeting with that are involved politically, and some scientists that I'm going to try to all gather into one direction. If you want to be a part of it, come be a part of it. All you got to do is reach out. Everything counts. Everything counts. And definitely come out on January 25th to Trenton and make a scene, because I'm going to try to make that culminating point. Let's be loud. Because if Scutari doesn't talk to me by then, let's make him talk that day. Let's not talk to the back of his head when he walks by.
You know, right?
At least let's figure out how to say his name. Maybe then he'll answer us.
Scutari.
Scutari.
I didn't know.
So sorry. My roommate in the background just Scutari.
Scutari, yo.
That's funny though.
Well, thanks, Andrea. Thank you so much. Hey, before we go, I got to play something. Mikey, I went to Bayonne Police Department today to look for our OPA requests for the Sidewatch psych exam that I got. And they didn't have that yet. But they looked in the back and they found this CD from a year ago. So it was a year that we made this CD, and I never picked it up, or they never gave it to me. But it was there. It was when we were at the park, and you were on the scooter for like the first time, and we were driving around the basketball courts, and the kids are running away. They weren't even kids. They were juvenile delinquents at midnight, running away from us, acting like stupid.
Those weren't kids.
Yeah, they weren't kids, first of all. They were delinquents. And then they called the cops on us. Remember they called the cops on us, right?
Yeah, I was just trying to play basketball.
And we were just playing basketball, just trying to have fun. And they were just like, oh, my God, they were scared of you. They were scared of you.
They were freaked out. I felt like I was in a movie and everybody was like I was a zombie.
So
that's what it felt like. The whole park cleared.
Because he was a bong. He was an 8-foot bong. And people were scared.
And I was on my scooter. And it was a Saturday night in Bayonne. It was like 12 o'clock at night. And not for nothing, none of us should have been in the park. It said nobody in the park after 10.
Here it is. Let me show you this. I got the Oprah. This is so funny. Oh, wait, hold on. I got to do something here. Hold on. I got to do this. Share sound. Okay, here we go. This is funny.
Who'd you guys call for?
Can you hear it?
Yeah.
Oh, for him? Hold on, both of the call coming. 881 out, so everybody on down. So who called? You guys call for? They call for you? What?
I'm just riding around.
What's this? Oh, just a
I'm bong hole.
just a bong?
I'm bong hole. That's how ramp. I'm nowhere
Okay.
yeah. Wheelchair access here in Bayonne. Fight for wheelchair access. Cannabis patient rights.
Why'd they pixelate you out?
So I don't know who called.
Are you guys good?
Right.
I stepped out on you because they said you had wires and a torch. So now look, I see why it fits the torch and the whole bong thing.
Yeah.
You guys going home or something?
This is so shot out.
It's actually leaving right now, so.
You go with him? I'm good. You good? Thanks,
You good with him?
Just be careful for the cars. Good, you good.
Oh, it gets better. Watch these kids lie on us. Mikey, watch these kids lie on us, dude. You haven't seen this yet. They lie on us, man. Really bad.
Huh?
Yo, he came and his boys recording him, and he was like, he looks like a bomb, right? And we were like, yeah. He was like,
Bomb.
Bomb. He said he looks like a bomb, and he was like, we were like, yeah. He was like, because he is older, bomb.
Bong, bro.
He came in and started like chasing us on the plane. This kid's like, yo, we just want to play basketball. And he's rolling up. They said hello weird.
Good call. I guess it's a good call.
Who got the machete in the back? The one with the wheelchair. The one with the machete. I don't know if it was some type of.
Wasn't chasing them. They just ran.
No, I know.
Who said he got a wheelchair? I mean, You say you saw the machete?
It looked like some type of like we was playing around or something pulled up. Did it want to
Did you see the machete? Yes or no?
Yo, why is everyone blurred out too?
Probably because they're minors. They seem young.
All right, thanks, guys.
No, they were young adults.
They were delinquents.
Yeah, let's just go talk to them a little more.
In case you're hiding a machete that you like to chase basketball players with.
What was that all about? What kind of a lie? You could get me shot.
Yeah.
You could get me shot for that. I've been thinking I have a knife. Not even a knife, a big knife.
Hey,
No, maybe there was like the one kid in the group. You know, like sometimes in a group of kids, that one dude who just like embellishes and everyone runs with it.
You guys are having fun. I think it's cool. So those guys said that they saw that, right? They saw a knife.
All right, look, listen. What is this? A torch? Don't move. It's my torch. Okay. I'm a medical cannabis patient. All right, I understand that, but listen. Why are you touching me? Because you're reaching for something.
You're reaching for a
torch. I'm trying to
torch.
show you what I'm at. I have a bad back. You're making me. Are you going to listen or not? Yeah, I have a bad back. Okay. Just because you have a bad back doesn't mean. Maybe because you're carrying a torch behind your back. Okay? It's not illegal. Okay, it's not that it's illegal. Nobody in the right mind carries a torch, especially when kids are complaining that you're.
The kids, if kids can complain about it.
That's a great comment on his part, though.
Adults should know better.
Nobody carries a torch. Hey, any plumber I've ever met carries a torch.
Us adults should know better.
That's ridiculous. Listen, I don't understand why you're carrying it. I don't care. But
It doesn't matter why you're carrying it.
When a police officer arrives, stop reaching. I don't care if it's unless you're reaching for your license. This is not normal. You guys should know who I am by now. I completely understand, and I don't care. But nobody.
Just a normal person.
You don't care. I fight for you guys.
A normal person doesn't carry a torch.
Wheelchair access, disabled vets have wheelchair access. Thank you so much. This is what I do. But and I don't know what their problem is, but they're lying.
Sir,
they're lying on me. Are you listening?
You creeped out a bunch of kids.
I'm telling you, regardless of what happens with these kids, when a police officer approaches, why do you have to reach for this? It makes zero sense. You looked at it and you pointed at it and you were going for it, so I'm trying to help you. No, don't. All right, well, listen. I'm gonna absolutely. I'm gonna help you. I'm gonna help you help us. All of us are recording, okay?
You don't see the relevance in all this. You know what I'm saying?
If you want to really help us, if you do carry this, or whether it's a knife or whatever it is, don't listen. We don't know that.
If two adults could creep out 50 kids,
what kind of person would carry something that looks
that's
suspicious?
How dare you?
Saying that he's not in his right mind, I just don't agree with that.
Thanks, Mikey. Thanks for sticking up for me. Yo.
That was wild.
What'd you guys call for?
Yo, that was wild.
You didn't see
But
that.
also, first of all, like I understand that, you know, they have a concern for their safety in terms of reaching for things, but I feel like it's not like he was reaching into a seat next to you. He was reaching like right along your body. He was reaching like into your personal space. There's a little bit of he should have at least said something before coming into your personal space. If I was standing up, he wouldn't just reach into my pocket without saying something.
And it brings you back to what Lefty said.
That just seemed really uncomfortable.
Up a really good point. You don't make a lie up like that. If that's the lesson anyone takes away from watching that video, you don't make stuff up like that, because then officers are now using false information, and then they're looking for a machete at that point, because they gave them false information. Well, that's a horrible start of it all.
Yeah, that's.
I'm wondering maybe one of the young adults, one of the delinquents, like they freaked out when they seen like Lefty in the wheelchair and me in the bong on the scooter. We kind of roll differently when I have that scooter. We're kind of moving quick.
Yeah,
it's different. It's different energy. And this is Saturday night. It's different energy was going on. And they seen it, and they all just freaked out. They were jumping over the fences. Ones were climbing around the fence, breaking through. It was like out of a movie. I was like, what's going on here?
That freedom on that scooter, you got freedom, and you can do like 15, 20 miles an hour on that scooter. So you're fast. You're a fast bong coming at somebody.
Yeah.
Oh!
And I can see him being like startled, but at what point do you think it's still chasing you once you realize it's a bong?
Well, right, yeah. And then at one point we stopped, and I think if I remember correctly, we busted the torch out and ripped a couple dabs, and then went on our way. And they saw the torch, and they wanted to say that was a machete.
But see, it's just
they stood around us while we dabbed, right?
It was like a display. I mean, I don't want to make it sound like whatever, but we were hanging out with them for that moment when we were smoking. They were like, we were in a circle.
Yeah, they were watching us smoke the bong. And
there was no mistaking what we were doing and what we had.
And they called the cops on us. What a bunch of
And I'm telling you, they weren't kids, Andrea. They blurred all of us out. I don't know why they did that. They were like 21-year-olds. They were adults.
This is
full-grown adults. Full adults.
What are we doing out there at midnight, too? I don't even know.
And we were all breaking rules in the park because it was 12 at midnight. So we were all in the wrong. Yeah. Every one of us. Every last one of us screwed up.
But especially the machete bong.
Yeah.
The flying machete bong.
Wild.
Terrible.
Yeah, but definitely don't ever go misleading the cops like that, because you could really put people in dangerous situations. It's not just about getting them harassed. Like, he could have reacted differently thinking you were reaching for a machete. It's unfortunate. And
they seem to put two and two together with the bong and the torch. He's like, that's why he's got a torch. He's got a bong. Okay, I get it. The
first guy seemed to get it right away.
Yeah, the one guy was real quick with it. He's like, I totally get it.
He's like, I've seen this before.
I've seen bong, torch. Yeah, I've been through this one.
It's a water pipe, I believe.
We've been here before.
Yeah, it was like, you're any adults allowed to carry any reasonable torch. They're used for culinary and construction purposes and a lot of different things. Jewelry making.
There's no point for the low digs like that.
Like, yeah, there was
nobody in their right mind. What does that even mean?
And and he was judging you for carrying it behind your back when also
it's like you just met me. We just literally have met for like 17 seconds.
He doesn't know what's comfortable for you.
That's
like that might put pressure on a good spot in your back to make things feel better. Sure. Like
that's where I put my water bottles and my torch.
I assume it doesn't fall out there while you're moving.
It's a comfortable spot for me. I'm not hiding anything.
No. If anyone's ever sat in a car, they've probably put stuff down in the seats next to them. Like, we're behind them. Like, it's normal. He had such a strange reaction. And
I do think it was funny, though, that he claimed that maybe that's why you were having back pain. That's great.
Oh, my God.
That's a good dig.
Oh.
Props to him for that.
Yeah, what a dick thing to say.
I know, right? Like, what?
Like, no, I have degenerative disc disease, brother.
Yeah, I feel like you handled that better than I would have, because I would have said something dumb in response if I was in a wheelchair and someone told me that, like, maybe keeping my torch for my medicine is what caused my back pain. Oh, you're about to look so dumb. Like,
I like the comment because it was such a real moment. That guy, it's just him. That's his personality.
Just
getting it.
Abrasive.
Yes.
Yeah.
Just no filter. Just says whatever's on his mind.
Yep.
Without thinking.
That's fine, but at least admit when you're wrong. If you're gonna be like that, you at least gotta take accountability when you're wrong or when you're over the line.
I'm sure he saw the video and he's like, oh geez.
I'm sure he did not care. He does not seem like the type to.
Sarge, you didn't tell me I look like a dick. What's wrong with you? Oh wow. Well, thank you for being on our podcast. We end the show with our list. Let me get on to the list here. I want to thank cmmnj.org, Kind of Sense, UFCW, Local 152, JacksonStorms.com, Smokin' Monkey, Arlo Glass, OprahMachine.com, and SativaCross.org. You can donate to SativaCross.org in the shop, and we could use whatever you can spare. And our list here is our friends and family who needed cannabis or couldn't get cannabis, still waiting for cannabis. The first person on our list is a woman named Cheryl Miller, and she's the reason why I got into activism for cannabis. Actually, I wasn't into activism for recreational until I met Cheryl, and then I understood the whole medical thing with her because she had progressive MS. She wasn't able to move her body. She was stiff. As Jim would say, she was uncooked spaghetti. And then when he would give her cannabis, she would loosen up and she was able to exercise like cooked spaghetti. She was able to move her arms and stuff. And I saw it with my own eyes, and I was like, whoa. And then I learned about the endocannabinoid system, and I was just blown away that the government lied. I knew the government lied when I was really young, but then when I found out about the endocannabinoid system, I realized the government really, 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 really lied. And I was just really driven at that point to help the legalization effort for cannabis patients. So Cheryl Miller tops our list, and for a good reason. She paved the way for medical cannabis here in New Jersey. Jim, her husband, pushed her across New Jersey in a wheelchair. They've had vigils at the State House for her. Amazing activist. She went and got arrested down in Washington. She ate cannabis right in front of the police down there and got arrested. She went to senators' offices, got arrested. In a gurney, by the way. She's on a bed. Jim would push her in a bed. It wasn't even a wheelchair, it was a bed. Sabina Rose, little 15-month-old baby, Dravet syndrome. She died from a 24-hour seizure. I don't know how long your seizures last, but she had a 24-hour seizure. I can't imagine having a 24-hour seizure. This is a little baby.
No one can imagine that. And that's where, when they're saying, oh, homegrown might not be good enough, what's worse than a 24-hour seizure? That was a terminal seizure. Like, at least it's something to try that you know physically can't make it worse at a certain point.
She waited. Waited. And this is during the Christie administration. So they made this year-old baby go to a psychiatrist. They wasted time sending her to these different doctors before she can get her card. So she had to see a psychiatrist before she got her medical card. Now, what is a 1-year-old baby going to say to a psychiatrist?
God forbid she was younger than that, and she might not have had an address documented yet, because if you don't have enough proof of address, you can't get a medical card in New Jersey. So then you're stuck sitting longer. They waste time and they board it down with red tape, because every step of red tape, they can charge some kind of tax or some kind of fee. For them, it's about the money. But for people like these patients, it's about the time. You can't have 24-hour long seizures. Even if you come back from it, you're not always the same. Like, you forget we have to exist through it. Like, you guys might be like, it's over, but like, every time you get an aura, you know what's coming. Like, a 15-month-old baby, no one can let them know ahead of time what's going on. Like, in my situation, curiosity is the only opposition to fear. It's the only comfort, is that, like, hey, I can be curious about what's happening instead of scared, because maybe something will work, or maybe I can figure it out. Like, these doctors put people in positions of no hope. So even if you don't believe that cannabis is going to be the answer for somebody, at least it can buy them time while the doctors deal with the red tape, while the people go in circles and make the decisions. Like, the patient isn't sitting there suffering. My sister lost a friend this week. I found out yesterday morning that they had just amputated his leg, and his brain wasn't responding well, so he was having a bunch of seizures. So they didn't know what to do, so they just stopped the pain medicine in case that helped, and they let him have seizures for 3 days with no pain medicine with an amputated leg until...
I'm sorry.
It doesn't have to be like this. And if Scutari doesn't want to flip, if the Senate doesn't want to flip this time, they're going to have to face me and say why. Because it's too many people. I'm not saying you can save everyone, but it doesn't have to be like this.
Hello, Honeybee.
Hi, Honeybee.
Hey, Honeybee.
Aloha.
From Hawaii.
Aloha.
Hey. Aloha. How's everyone?
Good. You called us during the list. We were talking about the list, and we were talking about seizures because Andrea has seizures, and she's working on her turf profile.
Yeah.
Teaching
And
me
to
about
answer your
my
question, we're doing New Jersey good, not Hawaii good. But we doing our thing.
Yeah, we're
doing your
cold,
thing.
but we're okay.
I'm not going to talk about the weather here because I'm hot and it's humid and it's hot.
We're
It
cold.
snowed today where I am.
It's like 80 and humid.
Oh, I feel
I
bad.
know, it's rough.
Cool.
It's rough.
Whatever, rub it in. I love it.
But I'm working hard for this, though. I just volunteered at the church all day and I just got done.
Wow.
And yeah.
Right on.
So I'm at Hope Chapel volunteering, helping with food and everything that people would need. So that's what I just got done doing. And I'm like, oh, you're still online. Aloha.
Hey, you caught us at the tail end.
Yeah, it was meant to be.
I'm
just very, I just want to just express my gratitude for all the people that are sending their love and prayers because this is a very sad situation here. There's a lot of people who are homeless or they're shoveled around with families or old people, you know, they have to, it's just horrible. I just don't even know where to start. Just pray for Lahaina and Maui. Pray that, you know, they're going to make it and that it's going to work out and we're going to learn how to love each other and we're going to learn how to turn to God and or our higher power, whoever you believe in. I believe in God. But you know, my friend, I'm helping this young mom who lost everything. She has a toddler and a 5-year-old, and I went to her house and to just try to help her just clean her kitchen, you know, help her, you know, because she lost everything. So she had to go buy everything and then organize a house with all this trauma going on, you know, and try to, I mean, just try to live. And then she has people that have died and she's helping her friend who's the dad died and left 2 kids. And so she's helping the mom and, you know, so she's doing what she can to help others. And
Yeah, the whole thing's such a beautiful experience for me watching it, like from an outside watching it, because you're in Hawaii doing this. The whole thing's got to be a trip. It's like a blessed, wild experience, and you're helping people, and you're in like the most beautiful part of the planet in my eyes. That's where the most beautiful place I've ever seen. And just the whole, we were talking about opposite ends of the spectrum and touched on that for a couple different issues tonight. And that your whole thing out there has got that wrapped up in it. So it's every end of the spectrum. It's just a wild thing, man. It's really cool to watch.
It's I feel very blessed to be here, but just I mean, I am having my own struggles as well. Having to be strong for others and a lot of others. I don't know what to do but cry for them. You know, we're dealing with families who've lost their whole neighborhood, their whole everything.
Mm-hmm.
And they're shoveled around. They have no rest. they have
For
no
sure.
rest.
Yeah.
There's
And
no safe place.
I'm sure you have pockets that are longer or shorter, but just remember, do not absorb everything and enjoy
Yeah.
yourself while you're there in the
Yeah.
most beautiful place in the world. That's the
Right.
beautiful balance of this whole thing. Just do
Right.
not absorb everything. Learn
Yeah.
when to let go and enjoy that beautiful sun, that beautiful water, your toes in the
Yeah.
sand. Enjoy
Yeah.
it as much as you can for yourself and then you can always go back to that. You'll go back and forth throughout
Yeah.
the day and do your thing.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Take and
Yeah.
give.
It's
Give and take.
yeah, I knew that it was gonna be hard, but at the end of the day, I could go see the beautiful sunset a half a
As you
block
should.
away at the
You
beach.
can see the sunset.
And you can take
I
care
know,
of
and the
others.
whales are here, and
I know.
What's that, Andrea?
I was gonna say, plus you can't take care of others if you run yourself completely empty. You have to take care of yourself to be
Yeah.
able to.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So even if it is just
That's
taking
true.
those 5 minutes and a few deep breaths with your feet in the water, make sure you're
Yeah. Thank you.
fueling your
Thank you.
soul
Sometimes
so you can give it back.
it's like I slept in a bed last night, and I slept like 12 hours. Oh, it felt so good. But then I think I slept too long because now I'm tired.
Well, yeah.
Well, you said you had a busy day too, so that'll wear you out
Oh
again.
yeah. Oh yeah. I just got done volunteering all day, and going in and out, of the building, because it's nice and air conditioned inside, and then you go outside, it's like, oh, and you're carrying, waters for the families, or their diapers, or their food, or whatever, so it's really rewarding. So send all your good vibes this way. They need it. They really need it.
Well, that's the thing. You got a lot of good vibes around you. All that stuff, all that nature stuff you have a lot of areas to refresh and recharge very easily. So take that time for yourself and take the breaths along the way.
Yeah. I'm going to go to a movie tonight. So.
Nice.
What are you going to see?
Is
Godzilla?
it Max?
Godzilla? Oh.
No, it's that church one. It's going to look at my phone, and I'm on my phone.
Napoleon's out.
It's a church movie.
Oh.
It's about Christmas, that Max Lucado one.
Oh, okay.
Do you know which one that is?
I'll find it.
I don't know. They said, do you want to go to a movie? And I'm like, yeah.
Oh, the church people asked you to go to a movie. Of course.
Yeah.
You can't go to a church movie. You can't go to see a Godzilla movie with church people.
Well, you can, but
I would, but
I tag along. I tag along for
in the parking lot too. Me and Mikey smoke fatties. Right, we go to worship night sometimes, and we smoke a big fatty in the parking lot beforehand. We go in there smelling.
Really?
Yeah, we smell like.
Well,
weed.
I did get my medical card. So look, I got a Maui.
Oh, you got your medical Maui card.
Yeah.
Marijuana card.
Yeah. So isn't that cool? Marijuana.
That's great. Oh wow.
And I'm gonna have a Maui Christmas.
Oh my God.
How's the weed out there? Is it good? Is it good like Oregon or better or not as good? No, not as good.
Their selection is horrible.
No.
The prices are worse.
Right.
Oh.
Yeah. But this is nice because I'm at church right now. So.
Are you guys allowed to grow out there?
Hawaii, you can grow in Hawaii, right?
Mm-hmm.
Can you? I don't know. Look at the laws.
Yeah, when I was there, the taxi guy gave the whole rundown on it, but he said that like the locals, they can grow, they know how to grow, and the weed at the dispensary is shit. I went to the dispensary, I got the weed, it was trash. I mean, it was
at the first 420.
I mean, I was in Hawaii and I had weed, so there's that. But like, if I'm really just being honest, yeah, it was bad.
Yeah.
Literally,
but it's in Hawaii, though.
like bad to the point where I didn't want to disappoint other people by telling them about my experience. It shouldn't disappoint anyone else. Like, you know what I mean? But like, nothing to write home about.
Right. And I'm meeting all of the locals, so I get the good weed.
Well, they should have the good weed.
They do. My friends do. They grow it, and they share
There you
it.
go.
Yeah. I mean,
I was gonna say nutrient-rich
you
soil,
actually,
lots of sun, lots of wind.
oh my
Probably
gosh,
get some good
it's
stuff
so
if you know how to
amazing.
work
Some
with
great
it.
weed out there.
Mm-hmm. Some of that
I mean, if you want to
Maui
meet a lot
fire.
of people, do what I'm doing.
Well,
Because
honeybee,
I'm meeting, yeah,
you need a special weed for your diabetes called Durban poison
verotamine.
with verotamine.
It's THCV,
THCV that you need. Have you found that
verotamine.
strain out there?
Yeah.
At home?
Well, they have Durban poison. Yeah.
Who has it?
Yeah,
The
they have it.
dispensaries
Durban
or
poison.
the
Yeah.
black market or the dispensaries?
No, the dispensary. They have what I need. And I've been going indica anyways, so I I am no longer dependent on insulin for diabetes, so I'm no longer technically diabetic.
Wow, what? That's
You didn't know that? So yeah, ever since I quit drinking, about a year after I quit drinking, I kept on challenging the doctor, and I'm like, no, I'm not going on this medicine because it makes me sick and it makes me have to eat. So if I can, yeah, and I'm like, no, I'm not going to do it. And so they're like, I don't recommend that. Well, I'm like, well, it's my body. So I said, well, this is what I'm going to do. I said, okay, I'm going to quit drinking. I'm going to watch my diet and I'm going to exercise. And let's see if it keeps on going down. I'm not going to take this medicine. But if it goes back up and I'm still doing all those things, then we'll reconsider what I should do next.
Word.
But it got down to under 7, 6.5 is my AC1. So that's pretty much almost a normal person. I mean, like under 6 is what they really want, but I was clear. At my highest, I was like 11. At my after I quit drinking, it got down to 7.5, and that's really good. Because like when I was taking metformin, I had to eat more. My blood sugar was more up and down. Now since I don't take my medicine, I do intermittent fasting. I've lost weight. I don't take insulin. I don't take any diabetes medicine, and I'm gonna live longer.
Honeybee, man.
I
Good
love
for
hearing
you.
lifestyle
Straight
changes
up.
when
Good for
doctors
you,
said,
man.
you can't do it with lifestyle changes. People won't put in the work. You put in the work, and it's so fucking awesome to hear that it works.
Fucking dope.
Well, I'm also 23 months sober. So,
congratulations.
Congratulations
that
on that.
A lot to
That's
do
amazing.
Have you ever tried the strain apple pie?
I probably have. I smoke everything that's weed.
Well,
Except
I know
number 2. I didn't like number 2, Lefty.
I was gonna say a few other diabetes patients I used to know found really good results with apple pie, so that's why I was just curious if it worked as well as the Durban poison for you.
You know, I mostly do cannabis for my pain, so I've gone to indica because my pain outweighs my diabetes right now.
Makes
so I focus on indica. Hybrid indica seems to be my perfect match. I can't do sativa or it makes me go to sleep. So I also found out since I quit drinking that I have ADHD.
I was gonna mention that might be something to look into.
Yeah.
If the sativas were flipping.
Yeah. Yeah. It was so weird because I was smoking a whole bunch of indica because I was trying to go to sleep, and it actually made me wake up and I cleaned my room. So I was like, that's weird.
Well, just because
really weird.
Indica waking you up isn't as indicative as sativa putting you to sleep. Because if you're a person with a pain condition, pain causes a lot of fatigue. So if you fix your pain, you're going to feel more up anyway. So you might not notice it that way.
Oh,
but
yeah.
for sativas to be putting you to sleep the same way like caffeine could for an ADHD patient, that's more of where it flags.
It's so weird. That could be something. Yeah, so I do sativa at night so I can go to sleep.
That's why it's whatever works for you, and people should be able to control their own medicine.
That's great.
Like you said before,
Yeah.
everybody's endocannabinoid system is different, and what works for one person will not work for another.
It's wildly different. It's so fascinating. It's always interesting. I love hearing that stuff.
Yeah.
So
Because I can relate. I can relate to it too. I don't go to the doctor. I don't get diagnosis. I don't know. I don't believe in the medical institution. Yada yada yada. Story for another day. But I definitely had sativas like put me to sleep.
Oh wow.
My brain's always racing, and it's sometimes I'll have just kind of the different effects than other people have with certain strains. So I always find that fascinating.
And that's where if you start picking out keeping track of like, hey, this strain hits me really weird compared to other people. If you start your little list of like, these are the weird ones. When you look at all those terp profiles next to each other, you'll probably see a pattern and identify a couple terps that are either really high or really low in them. And you'll be like, that's what makes it weird for me. And then you'll be able to preview ahead of time if you're looking at dispensary menus or lab testing. That one has that terp that makes it a mystery flavor for me. It's an oddball.
Yeah. So I just have to tell you, it's 84 degrees.
84, great.
84 degrees right now. It's hot.
I got 34.
And what time is it there?
It's like 24 over here, honeybee.
Oh.
Is it? What time is it over there?
9:40.
Oh wow, it's only 4:40.
Oh wow.
Yeah.
I didn't realize that was that big of a time difference.
So
wow, 5 hours.
Our list continues with Diane,
Okay.
Gracie, Cindy Mae, Marie, Jack, Joan Ford, who wrote a book about epilepsy, and I did speak to William yesterday.
Yeah?
Yeah, he left the hospital in a wheelchair and left for like 6 hours and disappeared. Good for him.
What?
Yeah, he didn't sign out. He just disappeared. Went to a movie or some shit.
Did he go smoke weed?
I was gonna say, is he okay? Did he make it back?
Yeah, he made it back. He was he was living his life like, I'm out of here. I'm out of here. I'm going out.
And then he's like, I'm coming back.
Yeah, I'm coming back now.
I'm done now. I'm coming back.
But his mom wrote a book about epilepsy, and in the 40s, his mom grew up in the 40s with epilepsy. And back in the 40s, when you had a seizure in Catholic school, the nuns would throw holy water on you because they thought Satan had a hold of you. They're throwing holy water on you and stuff.
I've still had people tell me that this is like I'm epileptic because I offended God somehow.
Nice.
Wow.
Yeah.
Did you tell him? Well, you're offending God right now by saying that.
You're offending me and God right now. Two people.
I'd be like, that's pretty cool.
Wow.
I'm offending God. That's cool.
Wow, God's thinking about me like that? Wow.
Oh, yeah, must be special.
Crazy out there, man. You'll say some darn stuff.
Jeez. Tell him to go back to church or different.
Yeah, I just kind of let that
home.
stuff
Just tell him to go home. Just go home. Take a nap.
Hey, go take a nap.
You need a nap. You're acting like a toddler. Take a nap.
That's what you got to say. I think it's nap time.
Need a nap.
Yeah, nobody wants to
need a nap.
Stop acting like a toddler. Take a nap.
I want a nap.
Talk like a child to them, Yeah.
Oh, look what I got this today from.
Oh, it's cute.
This is so cute.
What is that?
It's a Volkswagen Bug with candy in it, and I thought it was so cute that I needed to make myself laugh, so I got myself a toy. I know, it's so cute. And I also got this here too. Celebrate Recovery. I got a new chip because I went to a new group. Oh, and I got see my sunglasses. These are a birthday present to myself. I got some Louis Vuittons.
Oh,
I know.
Good.
Dude,
I can buy myself flowers.
I know. And then I went to the pawn shop and I found a Louis Vuitton bag for $250. I'm like, Maui life. Yeah.
Yeah.
I had to get the
I like
it.
Hey. Okay, Randy Robertson. Randy Robertson had cancer. They actually did the Whipple procedure on him before they gave him medical cannabis. And if you know what the Whipple procedure is, that's when they take out all of your organs, every single one of your organs, they take them out. But they wouldn't give him medical cannabis. But they gave it to him after that, but it was too late. This is the kind of shit patients go through. This is the kind of shit that we go through as patients.
But New Jersey isn't ready for home grow.
We're not ready, though.
We're not ready.
But they better get ready because everyone else has been growing it forever. And, you know.
Ohio just got it. Bill Buckman.
The caretakers in place, too. We need access in hospitals. You shouldn't have to pick between your medicine or medical care, and you definitely shouldn't have to go without both.
Exactly.
Chad.
But we can go on morphine or addictive pain pills.
Jeremy. Colette. Matt. Troy. Russ. Roger. Jay. Ella. Hattie. Jackie. Anthony. Jake. Armando. Felicia. Lynn. Dan. Sean. Joyce. Lori. Mike. I'm sorry. That's Mike, that's Lori's your aunt. And she's been on our list for a while here. How's your uncle doing, by the way?
Doing all right. In the sense that I didn't think he'd make it through the year. That RSO definitely helped him. He was eating edibles before, just like gummies and stuff like that, but he needed something stronger. So I know that RSO is helping him. The fact that he's made it through this year is a good thing, because that we were all worried about that. It's looking very, very limited in terms of how this was going to play out. So the fact that we're going to look like we're going to get through a Christmas, I'm good with that.
And we were talking about RSO before, how RSO is very helpful and how we're priced out of RSO. You can't afford RSO in New Jersey. If you have cancer, you need a gram a day. That's the dose, a gram a day. And that's absolutely too much money in a dispensary.
It's not even that it's just too much money. You're not allowed to get it. It's over potency limits. It's over medical limits. You can't. You can't. You could get partials as long as they're up to that. You could get 100 or 400 milligrams of RSO, but it's not effective for any company to sell partial doses and everything. It'd be priced out if you could buy it. Even the legislature we have in place that limits plants isn't really enough for a patient to produce their own RSO at a gram a day. Canopy cover might help, but that's where having rec citizens being able to grow really helps too. RSO can be made as a scrap product for nothing on all these other grows that they're doing. These dispensaries could carry RSO at no cost. They could be making it with the trim from all the plants and all the bud they do sell. But because we have regulations in place for potency and regulations in place, we can't access it here. In Maine, they give it away. If you need RSO, if your life depends on it, a lot of people in Maine give away RSO to patients. There's home grow up there. It's seen as a scrap product, but it's life-saving medicine. We can petition New Jersey. If enough of us come together, we can argue with New Jersey the same way Michigan did, and we can fight for RSO and we can fight for home grow, but they won't listen to individual patients. And if you hear this list, it's too long.
Yeah. We're all hopeful for him having the best quality of life from here on out until he'll be on that list. But yeah, thank you for asking about him.
Frank, Brian, Flo, Carl, Thorne, Frank, Lorraine, Terry, Charlotte, Cher, Jaybird. Michael Dillon is Honeybee's son.
Aww.
And he He had a seizure. Was it? He was in the shower. Is that what happened?
No, he was at work.
At work.
He was at work in the bathroom, going to the bathroom, and he had a grand mal seizure. He went into cardiac arrest. Was just without air too long. Never came back.
He was young.
27.
Young, and he was a cannabis patient, but he wasn't able to get the strains he needed, the amount he needed. He wasn't using what he was supposed to.
Yeah, it was expensive. We grew for him. We made the RSO, but that's a lot of money. It's a lot of money.
Oh, I'm sorry he's on our list.
I just met a kid who's 27 who has seizures. He's one of the church lady's sons, and I like when it's really triggering, I have to say.
Sarah,
anyone I meet that has seizures, I'm like, oh, I gravitate towards them and I just want to hug them.
like Sarah from Kansas. She's in Kansas.
Yeah.
She has seizures, and she can't get weed in Kansas. And she sends me pictures of her drop seizures. She has drop seizures. And she literally shows me like her tooth missing, or her VMS, is that what's called? VHS? VMS. It's some kind of a pump. Ripped out on her. She hit her head one time. She had 10 staples in her head. Because when you have a drop seizure, you don't brace yourself when you're falling.
What, you don't even know?
Falling, and you're just hitting your head on the ground. There's no bracing yourself. Like, if you're awake, you're asleep. You're out. Jeez, how do these people not have compassion for this? Don't they get it?
No, because it's easier to not think about, because people don't want to think about it. It's because when people feel powerless, it's easier to ignore it. But the thing is, we're not completely powerless. We have people standing in between us and our medicine. So you might not be able to help someone right now while they're having a seizure, but we're getting closer to making rescue medicines. There's over 5 years ago, there was nasal spray out in Oregon, and it's part of the reason I came off all pharmaceuticals was because I thought it was going to be here. I knew we had New Jersey Medical, and I saw the video online and on the news of these little kids having full convulsive seizures and a nasal spray made out of cannabis going up their nose and it stopping. And I thought it was going to be everywhere, and I thought it was going to be possible because research is changing and more medical programs are going. I had to make my own sublingual tincture, and I'm working on the nasal spray, but it's a little harder than the tincture. But it doesn't exist. The research doesn't exist, and no one's looking. That was a little tiny patient collective of parents who were just desperate and trying and made stuff that helped their kids, and no one even picked it up. They could watch it stop seizures. People like to think you can just throw a pill at things and make it go away. People with epilepsy either look like everybody else and you don't see it, or they're sick enough that it's really hard to not be isolated for safety reasons, because there are strobes everywhere. Every cop car has strobes on it. Imagine knowing that the ambulance coming is going to make you worse. Like, it's no joke. Some people have grand mal seizures or the drop seizures, and it's not just that the seizure could, it's the damage of whatever you hit on the way. Like,
yeah.
I cracked my chin open in the middle of a tennis match once. I had a seizure when I was running towards the net. But luckily, I'm fortunate that most of the time when I have seizures, I lock up. instead. So but there have been times I've come to when I'm up a ladder, I can't imagine living with the fear. Like, I know how to brace myself. Like, I'm usually get on the floor or I'm down against a wall or something. I try to lay down if I know something's coming. I have
Luckily,
only had a few that,
you can.
Most of the time, when I can, I try to, but I've only had a few that fully like locked up my breathing or locked up my jaw to the point where, like, even afterwards, that I couldn't move my arm for a period of time. And my heart goes out so hard to anyone who deals with like the physical side of it too, because I can't imagine the pain when you're talking about 24-hour seizures, or when you're talking about like drop seizures with nothing to prevent it or nothing after it. That's why I'm like, hey, anyone who has a situation, that reach out. I don't know if I can help, but if there's anything I can think of or I can help you find, like, it sucks and there isn't a lot of support. And if any epilepsy patients wanted to start a support group either, we could do that, because there shouldn't still be this stigma this far in. We're not possessed and we're not broken. We're not ticking time bombs. Like, and we're not worth less than the commerce that our state seems to care about.
Commerce.
Yeah, we found out that Scutari might pronounce his name Scutari.
Yeah, it's actually it's Scutari. We had it wrong all these years.
Oh, what?
We called his office, and his office says.
So he just told you that he's Scutari, so
And we're thinking maybe he hasn't answered us because we haven't been calling him by the right name.
Oh,
that's what I'm thinking. You know how these politicians are. So we're just trying to figure this out, but who knows? Might be Scutari. Just saying.
Is that the reason we don't have home grub, because we said his name wrong? Really, I'm upset.
That's why he has to actually talk to us to tell us how to pronounce it properly, right? Like, it's the only way we'll get to the bottom of this, Mr. S. Let's go.
Yeah, if we ever met him, maybe.
That's why the goal is to talk to him before the event on the 25th, and if not, I guess I'll be really cold because I'm gonna be out there a long time.
We should invite him. Let's invite him to the hot box.
Please. Yeah, that's why it's like, talk to patients or come to our events. Like, we want to communicate with you.
Come to the hot box.
Come to the hot box.
Get on a hot seat in the hot box.
Senator Stonetari, let's go.
Stonetari. Marley. And by the way, I was wearing a Run New Jersey shirt in that video, Mikey.
Yeah, right. I seen that. Yep.
That's Marley. Colette, Brendan, Red, Rico, Lulu, Becky.
My sister.
This list is too long.
Yeah. Remember,
this list,
like, how long have I been doing this for? Like, all those years ago, it was a fraction of this. A fraction. It didn't take us very long. Now it's like a whole nother show.
10 patients die a year. We've been doing this list for what, 10 years? So almost 100 people on here. I haven't counted the numbers, but it's too many.
And there's some that we don't even, and we take a moment of silence for the ones that we don't say on the list, but it's just longer and longer every day.
Well, thanks for tuning in, guys and girls. It was a good show. Really good. Good information out there. And call Scutari. Call Scutari if that's your one takeaway from this, please. Here's his number. 732-827-7480. Honeybee, you can call him too from Hawaii. I'm sure he'd love to hear from you.
Oh, yeah.
732-827-7480. 732-827-7480. Be dialing, people.
Oh, be dialing.
Be dialing. Be dialing, darling.
And go.
And go. Ready, go.
And go.
All right. Well, thanks, everybody. Hashtag Jeff's Law. Hashtag they shall grow. Who's going to do the ode tonight?
Well, you're going to do the front, and Mikey and I will do the end.
Mikey does the front now. Mikey can do the front.
Okay, Mikey, go.
No, why are you always trying to do the front? You don't. No, you're front man on this, and I anchor at home.
All right, let's take it home.
Go. And go.
And me and Honeybee, we're gonna anchor at home. You guys talk.
Yeah.
Thanks, everybody. We'll see you next week. Thank you, and reach out to Andrea. What's the website? The Gmail.
The email is libraryofcannabis@gmail.com.
That's it.
Or if DMing me on Instagram is easier, that'd be Smoke Show Science. But again, it's a blank account for right now. I just set it up today in case it was easier for anyone to reach out. Thank you. Please reach out to Senator Scutari. Just say you need to host patients. You need to sit with patients. Say, my friend Andrea needs home grow. If you don't want to talk about yourself, my friend Andrea needs home grow. It's their only chance against SUDEP. I'll do what it takes. I'll go fight for you. Just put the voice out. We need to be heard first.
Mm-hmm.
Right on.
Yep. Thank you.
Thank you.
Good podcast, guys. I enjoyed all the individual strain.
I learned so much from you about terp profiles and what I don't need and what I do need, and I'm still working on my terp
individual strain information, ISIs.
So good.
I was going to say, we can do a terps one day if you guys let me know your favorite strains ahead of time or something. We can sit down and dissect a few of them or figure out what works or what doesn't work for you and talk about what each individual terpene might help or different conditions. If you have a lot of patients with certain ones, we can do a terps day.
You got a ton of information that you can get on another podcast and just run with it again. I enjoyed listening to you. Thank you for sharing your story.
Yeah, you could have a regular slot.
Well, anytime. You got the number.
Anytime you guys want to talk, I'm happy to share. I know I'm a little jumbled and rambled, but that's part of this.
Every Thursday they want to talk. So just count on that. Just chime on in, make that phone call, and you just start talking, and we'll listen.
You can come to Bayonne because I actually have some grapefruit haze. I'm going to get some grapefruit haze. It's actually available, so I'm going to grab some.
Sounds great. I'd love to try some if it's around.
Too, actually.
Definitely talk to me off. Definitely talk to me off the podcast too. We got to link up. It's been a while since I've seen you.
All right, guys, boys and girls, they went with songs to the battle. They were young, straight of limb, true of eye, steady and aglow. They were staunch to the end against odds uncounted. They fell with their faces to the foe.
They shall grow.
They shall grow not old, as we that are left grow old.
Age shall not weary us.
Nor
weary them, nor the years condemn. At the going down
of the sun, and in the morning,
we will
remember them.
For them.
That was tough actually doing it with you. All right, I love you guys.
Love you.